about that? An abrupt start. Hard start. Hard in. It's Thursday. Today's debate today. I got a debate today against an evolutionist. My favorite topic of the whole entire life. My entire life. AronRa is insufferable. I didn't watch this. This is going to be fun. You're going to get a raw reaction from me. But I just thought the title was hilarious. The logic of atheism. I cannot wait. I almost want to savor it. Just want to maybe hang out with you guys just for a couple of minutes before we bring them up on the screen. You're jamming to the beat. Sick beat. Hello, listener. He makes some sick beats, sick songs. Creative genius. That's what that guy is. So, anyway, yesterday was really fun. I really enjoyed yesterday's stream. I love going back and forth with people in the chat. It seems to be my jam. It's like, yeah, it's best to schedule a debate, but it's fun. These people. It continues on X. You know, I went in with some other ortho thug and this one dude, and about categories inside of evolution. And he admitted, he was like, there's clades. And I was like, what's a clade? The dude said, what's a clade? I asked him what a clade was. He was like, well, it's a group of organisms that includes all of its descendants. It's like, what? So my dad started a clade? I just straight up was like, dude, can my dad be the beginning of a clade? He was like, yeah. Okay. So where does a clade start? We don't know. We don't know where a clade starts. Well, there was a clade, and then in the clade, there was humans. Okay. Or can humans be a clade? Yeah, sure. Forever. Everclades. Forever. Totally arbitrary. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, isn't it ironic that the creation model is the one that could make sense of a thing called a clade? Like if there's a category of a distinct type of animal, and then from the animal, there's some sort of divergence, but never fully away from the animal, a variation of the same animal. That makes sense to me. But you need a beginning. In order to say there's such a thing as a clade, you need a beginning of a clade. And I started thinking about this. It's hard to conceptualize because you have to visualize it in your head. That's why they draw trees. And they always use trees, by the way. They go, hey, think of it like a tree. And I said, no, I'm not going to think of it as a tree. You know why? Because we know something about a tree. It has a root. It ends in the ground. It starts in the ground, and if you move backwards from the branches, it ends in the ground. That's why you don't give them the tree. No, I'm not giving you a tree, dude. That's not an accurate representation of your model because trees have roots. Trees start from the ground. Branches lead back to a root trunk, okay? And you don't have that with evolution because it's totally arbitrary. The whole thing. And then they still, I hope it comes up tonight. You know, the guy I'm debating tonight is more micro, so he's going to concentrate on micro stuff probably. And his weakness is going to be macro probably. That's what I think. But fossils came up, right? And I was thinking about this, how these people are such nutters that they think if they find a fossil that looks like something today, they honestly believe in their heads, like gematria people believe, like numbers are events. They believe they're actually witnessing transition. And I go, is transition an event? Yeah, transition is an event. Okay, are fossils static? Yeah, fossils are static. Okay, where did you witness the transition then? What do you mean? We have the fossils. Okay. All right.
Based on the bones, as you can see by the bones, or the bones. Based on.
Now, what's so funny about this is that you could say that about anything that has anything similar. So you could have an animal today, and you find an animal that you call ancient, and it shares one anatomical feature similarity, one, and you go, "Can I say this is this shows the transition?" No, that doesn't show the transition. It's crazy. But I am fascinated by it because they don't seem to understand the kind of conundrum they're in and how insanely vicious the vicious circularity of evolution is. It's crazy. To me, it's crazy. And they actually start acting crazy too when you call them on it. You know what I mean? But, you know, they're gonna evolve. What can we say? They're gonna evolve. So, all right, let's get into the humor of today, shall we? AronRa, he actually titled this, I can't believe it. He actually said the logic of atheism. I can't believe it. I just can't believe he would I can't believe he would take such a daring jump in a title. Raw talk. Raw talk. I think this guy's working for Christians. I honestly think he's a psyop. I mean, can we just get that intro again? Yeah. By the way, what does this have to do with the United States? Yeah, raw talk, the logic of atheism. You know, I'm getting training on thumbnails and titles and stuff, and boy, can this guy use some coaching. I mean, look at that typeface. Where's Meg Bob? Meg Bob's a very ridiculing about bad typeface and fonts. This one knocks it out of the park. I mean, even the resolution difference. Raw talk is blurry. The logic of atheism is less blurry. Aesthetics.
Whenever I happen to see a comment that I think warrants a reply, because they asked a good and reasonable question, or because the question reveals a point of confusion that I think could be clarified, it should be addressed, then I want to engage with them. But it's pointless to do that in the YouTube comments anymore because YouTube no longer does notifications, at least not for me. Apparently some other people still get notifications, but all of mine abruptly stopped on the same day. June 17th was the last one. My profile is still set to receive them, but I don't. I contacted YouTube Partner Support about this, and they said that it couldn't be fixed on the excuse that it was a policy change dated for June 17th. So they said I'm just never going to receive notifications anymore. Some of my viewers say that they're still getting notifications when I post a reply. Others complain that they're not getting notified even when I upload a new video. I don't know what the inconsistency is, but at best it's unreliable. So if I answer a comment on YouTube, I don't know whether those people will ever know that I did. They'd probably have to go back and check, same as I would. And then it's not easy to find, so most people won't remember or bother to do that. And most of the comments or challenges that I get are frankly idiotic trolls acting stupid just to waste my time, but sometimes there's a reasonable issue there, something someone doesn't understand but should and could and would if I help them. So here's another one that I want to address.
Oh,
someone saw my recent discussion with theoretical physicist Sean Carroll, and they framed it this way. Physicist: we don't know. Atheist: God does not exist. What is the logic behind that? The physicist himself says that he doesn't know where everything came from, or how, or why. So how do atheists claim to know the answer? And what do they base it on? Whoever this is, They obviously haven't been watching my videos. They haven't heard me explain all these things.
Do I listen to Fish? No, I hate Fish. I always hated Fish. And I was into like pretty bad music, like Dave Matthews, but Fish was terrible. I hated that they took so long to do solos, and I hated it. They look smelly. They're just like a bunch of junkies. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like them at all.
Things before, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't hear it now. If you've seen even a few of my videos, and you've heard all this before, but there are probably several people watching this video that haven't seen any of my others, and if they agree with this guy, then they should probably hear this too. So what is the logic behind that, you ask? Well, I'll be happy to explain that to you, but there are several misunderstandings to correct before I do. First of all, that's not what's happening. The physicist in this case is both a scientist and an atheist, one person, not two, and he is not making either of those arguments. The atheist physicist did not say that we don't know where everything came from. Instead, he said that according to classical physics, that would be the singularity.
Wow. What a freeze frame. No, a singularity, by the way, is when you try to bring that into physics, it's a reification fallacy. The singularity is a mathematical distinction. They are trying to reify it and make it material by saying it's a physics thing. It's not. There's no singularity in physics. There are atheists who agree with me on this, that jumping to the singularity as some sort of distinction in physics is not even, it's not justified in any way. It's mathematical. But this is the problem with science today, and I harp on this a lot, which is they've replaced mathematical models, which are descriptive, and tried to introduce them as explanatory. So they're taking a mathematical thing that's descriptive and they're inserting it into physics, which would be more explanatory. And it's a category jump, and it's slippery. It doesn't make any sense. You couldn't actually say what the singularity is from a physics perspective. You could only mathematically write it down and somehow say the math is identical to the physics. Doesn't make any sense, but they use it.
Well, sort of. That's the simplest way to summarize it, I think. And he said that the singularity may have come from a prior version of our universe. Nor did the atheist physicist say there is no God. Instead,
there's another problem there. That's incoherent. A prior version of our universe. How do you distinguish between two universes, bro? It's a bunch of gibberish, man. This is logical? It is literally called the logic of atheism. He's like, oh, okay, well, what we're talking about, there's this other thing that's also in this time and space called another universe, which is a different universe. Look, it's really simple. Here's the universe we have. Here's the other universe that you're calling another universe. They're necessarily in the same circle now. Okay, you brought this, whatever you called this, into this, and now it's in a bigger circle forever. They just this is like, it's like crazy. It's like, oh, let me just invent another universe. You don't even know what a universe is. None of these people, Sean Carroll, this guy, they keep using this term universe, and they don't understand that they're actually using a metaphysical term, and they haven't been clear with their own philosophy whether or not they're referring to a unified one thing, an endless regress of unrelated particulars. Like, what's to call something a universe is to put a contour around it and call it a thing. What is it? You know what I'm saying? That they always go back and forth with this. They say like, oh, reality or the universe, and they're using language in a singular sense. But you ask, what is that thing you're pointing to as a singular, and they can't tell you. Then they go to the particulars. Oh, well, it's a collection of all the things, the little bits that we know of. Did you collect them all? The Pokemon universe?
He said there is still no good reason to believe in a God because he was addressing a claim made by creationist Stephen Meyer, who failed to make his case. Meyer said that physicists had determined that the universe had a definite beginning, which was Meyer's excuse to say, therefore God.
I don't think he says, therefore God. Meyer would say that if there is a beginning of the universe from a physics perspective, then it's not unreasonable to believe there's a creator of the universe. That in the smallest sense of it is that it's consistent. That's all. Like now you're lying. He doesn't say therefore. Such a liar.
But even if the universe did have a definite beginning, that still wouldn't be the evidence for God that Meyer said it was. Because one, there's several other potential explanations. Two, they're all better.
Really? Like what?
Explanations. Because
did you name one?
Three, saying that God did it isn't an explanation at all, because it literally doesn't explain anything.
Isn't that so ironic? The singularity did it. That's an explanation? Tell me how it did it. See, you know what I'm saying? They're such projectors, these people. Such projectors. Oh, yeah, the singularity did it. How did that happen? We don't know. The singularity, though, that did it. How is that explanatory?
What happened here? God did it. What did he do? His magic. How did he do it? It was a miracle. Well, what are miracles? Magic.
Oh, man, it's so bad. Like, you would think all of this was made in, like, I don't know, 1996 or something like this. You know what this is? Anyone else grow up with Gospel Bill? Anybody? Shout out to everyone who grew up with Gospel Bill. This is like atheist Gospel Bill. It's so bad. Oh, man.
What the atheist physicists did say was that while everything apparently came from cosmic inflation, we can't yet be sure what happened before that. That's a very different statement. Believers will confidently shout from the mountaintops that their God was the first cause, but that's because faith is all about pretending to know things no one even can know.
You mean like the singularity?
But in every other application outside of religion, that would be called lying. Only in religion are lies relabeled as revealed truth. And when we ask, how did this happen? Honest people will show what they know and admit what they don't. Dishonest folks pretend as if the experts don't really know what they do, so that make-believers can pretend as if they know what they don't. That's what Stephen Meyer was doing when he claimed evidence that that the universe had a definite beginning, therefore God. And whenever we know that something happened, but we don't know exactly how it happened, then superstitious minds are inclined to assume magic of some kind, and the kind that creationists usually blame is God magic, also known as miracles. Magical miracles, miraculous magic, they're both the same thing. When a god does magic, we call it a miracle.
That's cool. So based on your standard, how is a singularity not miraculous? You can't possibly explain singularity from a physics perspective. You could only explain it from a math perspective. So, you know what I mean? Can you go ahead and tell us what you mean by a singularity created something, please? Is that possible? Would you like to do that, sir? Probably not. Probably not.
Saying, I don't know, it must have been magic, is the same as saying, we don't know, therefore God. We call that the God of the gaps fallacy, meaning that it is an illogical and thus invalid argument. Arguments are not evidence, especially not when they are fallacious. More importantly,
I disagree with that. I mean, arguments could use evidence, but arguments can be a type of evidence. For instance, if you said, show me evidence that Socrates was mortal, you could use an argument to present as evidence. Now, if you accepted the argument, you're accepting a type of evidence, a type of demonstration. So it sounds like a semantic way of getting around this idea that arguments can be evidential, and they can be. A demonstration, an argument would be a demonstration. The demonstration of an argument itself would be evidence. So I don't know where these people, they don't like this idea that arguments can be a form of evidence, and it seems to be a common theme. They don't like this. They don't like that this is possible. Yeah, 2005. He really is stuck. I mean, he's lucky. I'm even like reviewing it all, but I just couldn't pass up on the title, The Logic of Atheism.
The fact is that physicists have not determined there to be a definite beginning to the universe, so Meyer has no evidence, no arguments, and no reason to say, therefore, God. We don't have scientists saying that we don't know what it is, we don't know what happened, but we know there is no God. One, because whatever is unsupported by evidence doesn't warrant serious consideration, so there's no reason to even bring up a God. And two, because the things we don't know must conform to what we do know.
Wow, so circular. So the things that we weren't knowing have to conform with what we know. How do you know that? Well, because that conforms with what we know. Wow, we got a top-tier thinker here. I mean, this is top-level stuff. The other thing is, if there's no evidence, he's saying why there's no reason to consider it, right? That's his claim. Hey, Aaron, did you realize when you said that that's a truth claim? When you say, if there's no evidence, there's no reason to consider it. Did you know that that's a truth claim? That's not an evidential claim. So should we consider it? Should we consider that claim, Aaron? He's going to be so funny when he's in like an old person's home. It's going to be wild for the nurse. Wild times. Comparing this to Gospel Bill is so mean to Gospel Bill. Yeah, it's like the atheist version, though.
And everything we know goes against biblical creationism. Even if there really was a God, that wouldn't change the fact that we are evolving apes, and that all of the scriptures of every religion are just man-made mythology with no...
Amazing, amazing. He appeals to Scripture to say we're just apes.
no significant truth to any of it.
That means all of his books that he writes, there's no distinction between the books that he reads about evolution and the Bible anyway. We're just apes anyway, right? Wow. This guy's in rough shape. Goal of the gaps fallacy. This guy's the epitome of Reddit atheist. He really is the embodiment. He's like the grandpa. He's like grandpa atheist. He's like Reddit grandpa. Reddit Santa Claus.
With most of these myths being already substantially disproved. What creationists are claiming is not even possibly true. There's no precedent or parallel or verified phenomenon indicating that a God is even a possibility to consider.
That's presupposing naturalism. How old are you? Like 75? You're 75? You've been doing this for how long, and you still think the claim of God is an empirical, materialist claim?
Believers are just asserting baseless, unsupported absurdities for no good reason. And in this instance, in discussing the Big Bang and what might have come before that, it's not even an issue of atheism. Because even if the physicists believed in a God, science is still limited to natural explanations, things that we can test and either confirm or disprove, or at least support and disprove, and you can't do that with the supernatural.
Okay, so Aaron, is your name Aaron? Aaron? You know his name's just like Christopher or something like this, you know. Carl. Dude, it's always the same shit with these people. Oh, you have no reason to believe in anything that's supernatural if you can't measure it and test it. Have you ever taken just a basic philosophy of science? Intro even? Just an overview, maybe even a YouTube video. Did you know, AronRa, that you believe in a whole slew of things that are not empirically verified? Did you know that? Did you know that?
And that's why scientists cannot declare a God, even if they want to pretend as if there is one. You can't say that they don't know what happened, therefore God. That would be the God of the gaps fallacy, pretending as if whatever is unexplained by science is explained by the supernatural, such that the unknown is treated as the known. We don't know how this happened translates into, I know it happened by magic.
Singularity.
You may say that you don't believe in magic, but if you believe in blessings and curses, those are both magical enchantments. As is.
Well, you know what else is? Knowledge, truth, evaluations, information. Totally magical. If the empiricist was super consistent with their own view, they would say, yeah, I have no reason to believe that knowledge exists or truth exists or information exists. It's a fiction. There's no ontological difference between, for an atheist, for this guy especially, there's no difference between an angel and knowledge. Categorically, no difference.
Is the fact that the Jewish myth
Rights, thank you.
of creation has God creating Adam as a golem spell, ancient Jewish magic. The Bible is full of magic, necromancy, forecasting, potions, transformation, faith healing. There's even an elemental spell in Leviticus 14. You believe in incantations, too, if you believe what the Bible says about God speaking things.
Shout out to Gospel Bill. I named my dog. Really? That's wild, dude. I wonder what percent of my audience knows Gospel Bill.
Into existence that did.
That was like my Sunday school. Like, went to my church, crazy Pentecostal, people freaking out, dancing, shivering, jumping, riling around, and then be like, okay, kids, go down to the Sunday school, and it was like Gospel Bill all day.
Did not exist. I read that there's a phrase in Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke, which has been translated or rather interpreted to mean, I create as I speak, specifically in reference to God speaking things into being.
I don't know. I'm thinking that the guy looks like a literal demon worshiper, might not have my best interest in mind.
And the pronunciation.
I think he's more of a LARPer, though. He's like, you know, I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and I would go to this, the Magic Castle. It's like a novel thing that you do where they have like the best magicians, and they're all in close proximity to you, and there's shows and secret rooms. You know, it's got like a weird eyes wide shut kind of feel. And he's like the embodiment. Like he's if like a Magic Castle somehow transformed into a human. Like if they had Transformer toys, but they were old Gothic castles and they transformed into people, like he'd probably be the best model for it. Guy's face is a great apologetic for Christ, seriously.
The pronunciation of this phrase is abracadabra, or in the modern vernacular, abracadabra. Thus, God says abracadabra and everything poofs out of nothing. So creationists are the ones who believe that everything came from nothing. Creation ex nihilo.
Right. Well, no, we don't believe that. It's not nothing in the sense that we think nothing has an ontology. Obviously, if we believe God exists eternally, uncreated, and has intentionality to create, we don't claim nothing. Nothing is not. This guy's he's really not even bad faith. He's actually stupid. He's actually a stupid guy. And what's funny is that AronRa and his cult, they believe that they actually came from nothing too. From that perspective, the goal isn't working. Really? Let me see. Start again. It's a little funky because of the new tech I'm using. So, only the creator.
Jim Bob, this is your half-black annoying fan. This will help us all understand the thought process of empiricists. They do not take time and observation in consideration together. Think of this. A police officer is investigating a homicide. They look at all the evidence at the crime scene and determine who done it. But they do not realize they never actually saw the crime take place, so it wasn't observed empirically.
Yeah. That's true, actually. Well, that it just shows that like even there's a philosophy of investigation, like in philosophy of forensics, philosophy of everything. It's like philosophy precedes all of it, right? Counter goal fallacy. I don't know how to change that. Start another goal. Clear. Yay. Only one creator goal can be active at a time. Please remove the other one. Okay, fine. How? How do I remove it? How do I do it? What am I doing? Huh? What the? This doesn't give me the option to remove it, though. So, oh well. Well, we'll just have to celebrate manually.
But I don't believe that anything came from nothing. And I don't know any cosmologist who believes that either, despite the fact that creationists accuse us every day of believing what only they believe. Like they're projecting their own faults onto us, faults we do not have and will not share. Believers pretend as if scientists believe things on faith, too, when we absolutely do not. As the famous physicist Richard Feynman put it, faith is a culture of belief. Science is a culture of doubt.
You'd have to believe that you have a thing called doubt, you stupid man. Do you believe that? Do you believe that you have doubt? Do you believe that doubt's possible? It's like these people are just... the good news is that they're sort of aging out of existence. Like the whole Reddit atheist, Four Horsemen, atheist revolution that we experienced, it's dying out. It'll resurrect with the new generation. But the one that we were given, our generation, this is the last soggy breadcrumbs of it. You know, it's so easy to refute these people at this point when they say things like this. Yeah, the entirety of the scientific venture, Aaron, is based on the faith in the regularity of nature. The entire inductive process is not based on knowing. This is so basic.
There's also a problem with absolutes, where the wanna pretenders claim to be absolutely certain about things that they don't know anything at all about, even when we can prove that they're wrong.
That's a contradiction. You literally just did the thing you accused the person of. These people want to be so certain that they're also absolutely right, even though that we can prove them wrong. Makes an absolute statement, just like that.
Whereas the science-minded only tentatively accept an indicated position provisionally, only so long as that conclusion is supported by the facts as we understand them. Otherwise, we are able to weigh multiple hypotheses at once without necessarily rejecting or committing to any of them. And when we accept one over another, we are ready to change our minds the moment we find out that our data is inaccurate or that the facts don't really warrant that conclusion. Most cosmologists...
He just falsely presented what science is. He didn't even, you notice how he didn't even say two competing hypotheses. The reason we can come to conclusions about two competing hypotheses, he said the data... No, dude. Two competing hypotheses share the same data. Adding more data gives both models the same data. Where's your neck?
Just consider that the universe is, in some sense, eternal, that material energy and universal wave function have always existed, and thus the universe has, in some sense, always existed, meaning that it was never created and there was never a time when there was just nothing. Still, some people consider the Big Bang to be the origin of material energy, at least within the expansion or inflation of spacetime. If so, then Big Bang theory gives way to stellar formation theory, then nucleosynthetic theory, leading to the theory of chemical periodicity, and then nebular theory, followed by planetary accretion theory, the collective hypotheses of abiogenesis, and ultimately the theory of evolution.
His eyes so embody his soul.
All of that together is a vast body of explanations, multiple.
No, none of those were explanations. Nothing you just said, all of the gibberish you just said is not explanatory.
Independent scientific studies for where everything came from. That's all on one side, the secular science side. Whereas
that's totally incoherent. Where everything came from. Where? Notice how you'd have to say what everything came from. They always say where like it's a location, right? Maybe they say where because it eliminates the commitment to saying what. Really, they should be saying what everything came from, not where. I understand that they're using it colloquially, but I think we should get rigorous with language with these people. Okay? If you say what everything came from, you've included what now. Now what is a thing? So it's not everything anymore.
Do you think this guy wakes up and looks in the mirror and thinks, damn, I look good today?
Yes.
Tanner G.
Yes, Tanner, I think he might say, like, I look the part. Remember when Reddit made you default subscribe to atheism? I blame that. That's funny. You know, it's kind of like the people who deny Christ as the creator, as God, the creator of all things. They go, well, no, all that was created was through Christ, but, you know, Christ was created first. They basically believe the same model. They do the same thing in materialism. They'll be like, oh, everything, the entire universe was created by, and then they necessitate some other thing that existed that's not quite identical to the universe. And through that thing, the initial state, the singularity, they replace Christ, God, with some physics thing. And the funny part is when you ask them to describe like an initial state, but for those of you who don't know, initial state, more popularized recently by Graham Oppie, this physics idea of a necessary being, except they don't personalize the being. So they don't personalize the being, they physicalize the being, and they just say being itself, without any intentionality or mind, is this initial state. I've actually talked to someone about this, and the way in which I questioned this kid, the way he described the initial state was in such a way that it couldn't be bound by logic.
Slob zombie is the result of a real zombie that started looks-maxing. Zombie
Right, he's
maxing.
He's looks-maxing. So I asked him, oh, can you describe this initial state? And he said ultimately, no, the initial state couldn't possibly be understood or exhausted by classical laws of logic, understanding of physics, parts. It couldn't be reduced to parts. It was wild. Everything he was saying, he was one by one removing what we would call Christological heresies. It was wild. It was almost like he was ortho-broing, but for physics. And the way he described this initial state would be similar to the limited way we could describe the Trinity. It was wild. I was like, whoa, you're actually describing to the limited extent you have with analogy. You're describing what we hold as the triune Godhead. It's wild.
The creationist position is given,
except without the personhood, without mind.
in a compilation of their favorite fantasy folklore. Not this book.
That's right. Empiricism, this is key right here, exact. This is the killer right here. If you ever want to say it really cleanly to someone, empiricism itself is not an inference from empirical data. Perfect. Right there. That's you want to save that. Copy, paste, keep it in your phone.
This one. Well, close enough. It's not always the Bible. Creationism could also be based on the Quran or even the Bhagavad Gita. In any case, their evidence to support their claim is no more than just the claim itself, that circular argument again, where believers assume that the sacred fables are true simply because the sacred fable said so. It doesn't matter that there's absolutely no evidence to support it, and it doesn't matter to them how strongly the evidence disproves it, too. The problem there is that it is an argument from authority. We either base our tentative understanding on reason, which relies on indicative evidence, or at least sound logic.
Never trust a guy who can't open his eyes. Yeah.
Or we make believe on faith, which is unreasonable, illogical, irrational, emotional, ultimately and invariably inherently dishonest, and typically relies on an erroneous assumption of authority, in which case believers consider that their imagined authority is infallible. They simply assume that their authority is right, even when there is no reason to believe that, and that it is still right even when the evidence proves that it isn't. That's how faith defies reason. Every modern scientific
Faith defies reason. That's hilarious. Reason is entirely based on faith. There is no instance you can point to where you're using reasoning that doesn't rely wholly on faith. Not empirical evidence, faith. Faith in the regularity of nature. Faith in your sense data evaluations. Faith that tomorrow will be like today. Faith in your recollection of the past. That's not empirically verified, doofus. Reason is completely faith-based. The entire structure of knowledge and faith is theory-laden and faith-based. The entire thing.
Theory is
totally faith in your reasoning, and they go, well, that's not faith, that's confidence. It literally means with faith, but forget the etymology of the word confidence for a second. How do you have confidence in your reasoning? And they go, well, because I have confidence in my my evaluation of sense data. So you're putting your faith in sense data? No, I have confidence in it. Well, what do you mean? Where does your confidence come from? I trust that it's valid. I trust that it's reliable. This problem of reliability itself is pretty wild. And this is what happens when you move a little bit away from, certainly move away from Christianity, but definitely when you move away from philosophy, where I like to blame the Enlightenment. They stopped pressing on these things that they just now grant themselves. There's a bunch of a priori things they grant themselves. Logic, they ad hoc, you don't have to justify them. You just go, well, no, I have reasoning. No, I have this, I have that. I have a recollection of the past. I have a reason to believe the sun's going to come up. That they actually think they have a good reason empirically to assume the sun's going to rise tomorrow. They literally say it. They say because it rose yesterday. They actually say this. They think this is reasoning. It's wild. No, I have every reason to believe the sun's going to come up. It came up yesterday. What?
is supported by physics and a collection of other fields of study, and we can show that they reasonably account for a vast amount of data. Still, religious believers will reject all of that because of a fallacious appeal to consequences, or on the excuse that they don't like it or they don't understand it, which would be the argument from incredulity fallacy, or simply because they don't want to believe that. They would rather make believe something else instead.
How big is the projection, right? Now, there might be true for a bunch of people who believe in God, but it's certainly true for a bunch of people who don't, that they'd anything but God. There's definitely anything but God, people.
But it doesn't matter what we want to believe. All that matters is why we believe it, or more precisely, what is the reason, the evidence and logic that led us to this conclusion. Creationism has no evidence, none whatsoever. Even among believing Christians, biblical creationism still isn't supported. In fact, even Christian biologists admit that Adam and Eve are genetically impossible and do not fit the evidence, that the Garden of Eden is an entirely metaphorical fable with a moral, but with not even a kernel of literal historical.
Oh, there you have it then. He appealed to authority, the thing he was saying not to do.
Truth to it whatsoever. Likewise, we know that the Tower of
This guy's fallacy maxing.
Babel's another fanciful fable that did not really happen. Even rabbinical scholars have admitted that the Exodus did not happen the way the Bible describes.
Yeah, none of that happened, but comets delivered the water to the earth. Comets, individual comets, they all found the earth independently of each other. And independently of each other, they all had water to deliver to earth. And the oceans you see today were delivered by comets.
If it happened at all, and Bible historians now say that they've given up on Moses ever being a real person. And we know for absolutely certain that the global flood of Noah's Ark never happened either.
How do you know that?
We know that this tale is an adaptation of elder Mesopotamian mythology based on a real flood of the Euphrates River at Shuruppak around 2900 BCE, and that all of the rest of that is just exaggeration, enhancement, and embellishment from elder mythologies many centuries older than even the religion of Judaism, making them older than your God. Likewise, not only
things are older. This is why, dude. He's literally has no arguments. He's really done. He's done for.
Only is there absolutely no actual fact.
I'm still waiting for the logic of atheism, the title of the video, Aaron. Are you going to get to the title of the video? How does this guy have 328,000 people?
Well, evidence for God, nor any logically valid arguments for God either, but
there's no logically valid arguments for God?
Plenty of both against. Enough that when believers dishonestly and irrationally assert that their God is, we are logically justified in our reply that there is no God, because your argument is invalid for all these reasons. Of course, religious apologists
looks like a goth snapping turtle.
Will take or make any excuse. They'll say that existence exists, therefore God, and that 2 + 2 = 4, therefore God. I've actually heard apologists make both of those exact arguments in live debates. But we are going to need a little bit more than that. Because if there is a God, then 2 plus 2 would still equal 4, and we still exist regardless whether a God does or not. Don't just assume your conclusion. That would be the question-begging fallacy, which is ubiquitous throughout all religious faiths. That's what they're all based on.
The guy who believes in evolution doesn't see the question-begging in evolution. Wild. Emmanuel says, I think the fallacy is appeal to an inappropriate authority, shortened to appeal to authority, but appealing to authority is not a fallacy in itself. That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's like any appeal to authority. They're like, appeal to authority. I hope he closes out this video by saying, therefore my grandpa was a fish. Yeah, at least be consistent here. I hope so. We can only.
But regarding the origin of anything, or in this case everything, then we have the fact to be explained. And then we have to weigh all the potential explanations to see which of them are the best supported by the most reliable evidence.
Reliable evidence. See what I'm saying? It's like, this is exactly what happened with Myth Vision, yesterday's video. It's like, what is your threshold for reliability? And then it just goes back to, well, whatever's reliable, right? Oh, whatever's reliable.
When it comes to scientific theories, you can't replace something that works with nothing that doesn't. That's why they still teach Bohr's and Dalton's models of the atom, even though we know that neither one of those.
Atheism is the truth. That's funny. You don't have a standard for the truth. You know what I mean? You don't even know, you can't even tell me what the truth is. And you're saying atheism is the truth. You can't even tell me what the truth is. You have no standard for truth. So how could atheism be the truth if you have no standard for truth? You can't even tell me what it is. That's why, like, atheists are actually fully spiritually delusioned. And because of that, it affects their thinking. It actually affects their thinking.
This is completely accurate. We teach them because both of them are accurate enough in different ways to have practical application, like in stoichiometry, for example. Thus, any proponent of divine design, also known as creationism, must counter.
I would like all of them to answer if there's aliens, and if the answer is yes, then prove it by their own standards. Yeah. Well, Alter Void, you'll see. I have a prediction that the cluster of atheists that are around us, around 20 to like 40 years old, I believe in our lifetime, they will take on intelligent design, but from an alien perspective. Like they won't do God, but they'll say, oh yeah, we were created by a super intelligent alien being.
All of these collective theories that I just listed with an alternative theory of a magic invisible man, something like a genie, who spoke everything out of nothing, fully formed and already at its current level of integration and complexity. In order to challenge and depose any scientific theory, you need to come up with another theory, one which is just as well supported by the facts and that withstands rigorous scrutiny and critical analysis, which means that you can't believe it on faith, because that is the opposite of science, and it's got to account for all.
Science is based on faith, dummy.
The same data, even better than existing theories do, while also explaining more of the data than existing theories.
This guy couldn't even tell you what a scientific theory is. Guaranteed.
Theories can. Beyond that, your alternative theory also has to make predictions that can be tested experimentally and potentially falsified if it happens to be wrong on any critical point. To flesh that out a bit so that you can better understand it, evolution is one of the most robust, best supported, and most verifiable of all scientific theories, right?
That's weird because it can't even make its way through the basic scientific process that a 7th grader knows. Isn't that wild? Isn't it wild to say the most robust scientific theory that's ever existed in humankind can't make it through the scientific method? Can you imagine saying that confidently?
Right up there with atomic theory. Evolution is even better understood than the theory of gravity. Now, why is that relevant here? Well, Newton came up with the initial theory of gravity, a body of knowledge.
I'm still waiting for the logic of atheism. You guys shouldn't even believe in logic. It's not empirically verified.
In this case, mathematical laws within a particular field of study, which is what a scientific theory is. A body of knowledge with profound predictive and explanative power. But Newtonian gravity didn't always work. There are things going on in the solar system that shouldn't happen because Newtonian gravity couldn't account for it. Einstein's theory of relativity worked.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it was actually since Einstein, and then you add in computers and modeling, and you have this major problem in science. And the major problem in science is that they've swapped experiment for math, for definitions and descriptions. They really believe that math explains something. It doesn't. I don't know what they're teaching now. Maybe they're just missing out. Maybe it's deliberate. math doesn't explain anything. Doesn't explain a damn thing. And they're like, no, we have math. This model of gravity explains this. No, it doesn't. It describes. There's no explanation. You can't have a scientific theory or an explanation without a rigorous experiment. You can't do it.
You would love the video that Raven777 made on Ra, the monkey, and most online atheist debate. P brothers, I have no doubt you would enjoy it more than I enjoy flinging cow poo.
Was it got Trayvon? Trayvon? I take back my question because he may be an alien. He has no neck. I have no neck.
Worked like a patch to enhance the theory of gravity, which then became known as classical physics. And while Einstein's relativity was able to account for things that Newtonian gravity could not, there are things going on in the cosmos that shouldn't happen according to classical physics. Now we know that we should be looking at quantum physics. A quantum theory of gravity could account for everything and might even possibly eliminate the notion of a singularity, since that is merely the point where classical physics breaks down. But no one yet has devised a quantum theory of gravity. As I understand it, that's the next big thing that physicists are trying to figure out. As for the theory of evolution, we got that down pretty well, with virtually all of the biological mechanisms, physical and molecular data, including literally tons of fossil evidence, like thousands of transitional forms.
There's no such thing as a transitional form, dude. It's unbelievable. They really are nutcases. They really are nutcases. It's wild to watch, dude. It's just insane to listen to. There is no fossil itself that's transitional. It's no such thing as that. Transition itself, transition, is an event. Transition is an event. There's no fossil that is an event. Using the lingo transitional, there's millions and thousands of transitional fossils. Really? Where did you see the transition happen? What do you mean? Look, there's a form and here's a form. They share similarities, therefore they transition. They transitioned. That's not true. They love trans stuff. It doesn't make any sense. You can't actually point to that. You can't point to any singular fossil or even a collection of fossils and assert transitional. What do I think he means by what I know he means is, here's a fossil. We think this thing that I found is the ancestor or previous kind that this current one comes from through the evolutionary process. That's what he means by transitional. He means there's a view on an origin, arbitrary by the way, an origin starting point of an animal, right? Let's take Pakicetus. Here's Pakicetus, a wolf-like animal, land animal. Here's a whale. I believe the whale came from the Pakicetus over a long, well, actually not that long period of time, 15 million years only from their view. The whale came from the Pakicetus. If you start with the assumption that the whale came from the Pakicetus, a transitional fossil would be attempting to find something that kind of shares the Pakicetus bones and kind of shares the whale bones. And then they say, look, transition. That's what they say. But that's not rational thinking. Because there's no way to verify. There's no criterion. There's no methodology for you to falsify that, verify it, or whatnot. And that would apply to any form that shared anything with anything else. Anything. Like the degree of the slope of a skull on something could be used as an argument of transition. Well, look, it's on its way, clearly. So they just arbitrarily take a collection of similarities between two different things and go, look, that means it's in between. It's in between the two things. Therefore, this thing became this thing over time. Totally not reasonable thinking. And certainly not scientific. Does this guy know he's proven evolution? He's a proto. Yeah, he has a proto-neck. That's right. That's actually right. I actually grant the proto-neck.
plus a handful of natural laws specific to evolution, and even direct observation of speciation in real time, enough to know that we got this. We are definitely on the right track here. There's not that much to figure out, not like there is with the theory of gravity. Now, the core definition of creationism is a rejection of evolution specifically in whole or in part, and more generally, a rejection of methodological naturalism in order to...
Oh my gosh, methodological natural. Look, dude, it's mostly a theist fault, you know, these like classical foundationalists, nubtards. It's actually their fault because they keep engaging with these people as if evolution versus creationism is a proper dialectic. It's not. It's not a proper dialectic. Evolution is after, admittedly from their perspective, after you have existence. Creationism is about how we have existence itself. Evolution starts from existence, starts from the assumption of population, starts from the regularity of physics and nature, chemistry. It starts from all of that, right? So it's a false dialectic. Through atheism, you can learn the truth. You don't have a standard for truth. I'm still waiting, scab. You don't have a standard for truth.
allow for supernatural explanations, i.e. magic, as described in the sacred fables. All scientific postulations must have a basis in fact. For example, the Big Bang has galactic redshift indicating cosmic expansion, meaning that the universe is getting bigger over time as space is expanding. Which means that if we were to run time...
See, that's just an unsubstantiated claim. You can't say the universe is getting bigger if you don't know what the universe is. If I say this balloon is getting bigger, when I blow it up with air or helium, I could say that. Why? Because there's an identity of the balloon and it has a contour. That is to say, it has an identity that's distinct from other identities. But when they say the universe, the universe is expanding. Really? What's the universe as a singular thing? What is this? The universe? What are we talking about here? You know, the universe. No, I don't know what you mean. What is this? You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't grant them the universe. It's easy to grant them these things in natural sort of exchanges where you're just kind of being a dude. But if you listen closely, you don't grant them the universe. No one, like, people apparently never question this guy. He just gets to go on these diatribes. And one claim at a time. The universe is expanding. Is that a singular thing? Is that an object?
In reverse, then the universe would be getting smaller, up to a point. The emerging theory of cosmogony based on galactic redshift also predicted and later confirmed cosmic microwave background radiation. But the fable of creation, cited in your favorite fantasy folklore, doesn't have a basis in anything except storytellers making up tall tales.
No. Creation would account for things science can't account for. Did you know that science relies wholly on a bunch of unscientific things? I don't know if people realize this. Apparently, these people they just go into their careers as talking heads and they never look at, wait, hold on a second. There is an aspect when you study science, there is something that you have to do first before you do science, which is the philosophy of science. And if you're going to do philosophy and use metaphysics and you're going to appeal to all of these immaterial things, you have to admit from the start, science is already limited from the start. There's no... Empiricism and science can never justify the methods that it uses. It can never justify. It can't. It logically can't do it. It's a logical impossibility for empiricism to give an account or justify the immaterial things that are assumed conceptually before you do empiricism. It can't do it. It's not like, oh, they'll find out soon. Oh, just give it another 1,000 years. Oh, no, we're working on it. No. No, you're not working on it. In order to work on anything from the scientific perspective, you have to first assume a bunch of things that are not empirically verified. That's a fact. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from it, okay?
And many of the legendary stories in the Bible directly contradict known history. Creationism...
Known history, that's another funny one.
I'm now running into atheists who claim the universe itself is uncreated in order to avoid the first
right.
cause argument. They're
right.
becoming Gnostic now.
Yeah, they're becoming Mormons. Further, if they say the universe is uncreated and matter has always existed, why do they need evolution? You know what I mean? They're actually caught in a trend in humanity. Evolution is a trend. Now, the religion that evolution is based on, without them actually knowing it, is Hinduism, but that's older than evolution. But the trend of evolution being this sort of explanatory device, they grant themselves eternality of matter. And if there's eternality of matter and they think matter can spawn living matter, dead matter can spawn living matter, and that could just happen, there's no reason why they can't say it's happening all the time. We just don't see it, or it's distant or something. That life itself, the process of life that they call it, is just a process. It's always existed. There's nothing in their worldview from stopping them from making that claim, but they're stuck on it because it's so it's in this chapter of human existence right now that's focused on evolution. It's very infant. Evolution is an infant right now.
Is a religious belief and a rejection of reality. It doesn't make testable predictions. Only
A religious belief, that's funny.
claims of prophecies that never really came true, or that were never declared to be prophecies until after they were supposedly fulfilled. So
AronRa would probably admit that a religious belief, if I said, what's a religious belief? He said, oh, what do you think it is? I can't open my eyes and I have no neck. He said, a religious belief is a belief in something without evidence. Fair? Yeah, I don't do that. I don't have that. Okay. So, you don't believe in anything without evidence? No, that's irrational. I'm not religious. How about information? No, we have evidence for information. Empirical evidence for information? Where? Everywhere. All of reality's information. Really, where is it? Can you give me a unit? Tell me what it's made of?
So there's no way to test that belief. There's no evidence to show that it's true, and no condition or circumstance that believers would accept to prove it wrong. It has to be falsifiable too, meaning that...
Where's my pile of logic? Yeah. Where's a fact? Fact is the best one because it's so overly used. Like you can't get an atheist materialist to deny facts. Like that's their whole entire identity is facts. Oh, I follow the facts. You're an idiot. Really? So you think facts exist? Yeah, of course they exist. Really? You empirically verified that a fact exists? What does it smell like? Does it smell like your fake dungeony basement? Can't open my eyes. I have no neck.
we have to be able to figure out a way to show that it's wrong, if it is. If physicists ever figure out a workable quantum theory of gravity, then that might significantly change their understanding of the Big Bang.
This is AI. That's funny. That's actually kind of horrifying that, this is true when we all die, but, God forbid AronRa passes, he's going to be eternally frozen in an AI stream. Like what they're going to have in the near future? This is actually horrifying. They're going to have perpetual 24/7 nonstop live streamers where it's just constant, like it's like hell, where you just go to the channel and they're still going, and they're always deriving their talking points from current input. So there's going to be there's going to be a whole platform of fake live streamers that have convincing idiosyncrasies, and they're just going to be fielding reality, headlines. And then the chat is going to influence the AI. And one of them is going to be AronRa for sure. Without a doubt.
Potentially even eliminating the concept of the singularity. But how do you test an invisible man made of magic who has infinite power to evade all perception? So we use logic instead, which is something religion can't do, because every logical fallacy has been used as an argument for God, and every argument for God is a logical fallacy.
Wow. Listen, AronRa, I hate to tell you this, but your atheistic perspective can't justify logic. Sorry. That's the end of it. How does he have an audience? Well, let's see. I mean, 2,000 likes, okay. 15,000 views, 14 hours. I mean, I don't know. For 328,000 people, I guess that's a little less than average, less than good. I mean, these people are so... that's so depressing. It's like... I think of like immigration and stopping incompatible cultures. Like the first incompatible culture America experienced is atheism. Yeah, I don't want Indians. I don't want Muslims. I don't want any of it. But it'd be kind of silly to not look at it from the first position, the first deviation, and say, well, the first incompatibility was this anti-traditional, progressive, naturalistic lens. Horrifying. It really is. Like the comments are horrifying. They're zombies. It's an actual zombie apocalypse. The good news is, at least pragmatically, is that most of these people don't reproduce.
But try to look at this logically. If there really was a God, then there wouldn't be thousands of religions killing each other over theological differences.
That's not logical, you fucking idiot. Did you just hear that? He thought that was an argument, this guy. His audience thinks this is an argument. Let's do it in real slow-mo. This one really earned this one.
If there really was a God, then there wouldn't be thousands of religions killing each other over theological differences, damning.
He just did a whole tirade about how illogical and fallacious Christians are and religious people are. Let's do it one more time, even slower. This is for you, AronRa, you dum-dum.
Then there wouldn't be every argument for God wouldn't be thousands as an argument for God, and every argument for God is a logical fallacy. But try to look at this logically. If there really was a God, then there wouldn't be thousands of religions killing each other over theological differences, damning each other.
So let's swap God for science or truth. If there really was truth, there wouldn't be thousands of people disagreeing on truth and fighting war over truth. If there really was the truth in science, there wouldn't be thousands of different competing hypotheses.
With different forms of hell, which still wouldn't exist even if a God did, because no being worthy of worship would allow such a grotesque and vindictive injustice.
Did he just do a cut right there?
Even if a God did.
Listen, this is why, if you transcribe this guy, it's totally incoherent gibberish if you just transcribe it. Look how he went from the bad argument. If there really was a God, there wouldn't be thousands of people who believe in gods who fight each other. What? First of all, it's not even a valid argument in form or in conclusion or anything. Totally invalid in every way, since not logical. But then he skips. He like moves on to something
over
else.
theological differences, damning each other with different forms of hell, which still wouldn't exist even if a god did, because no being worthy of worship would allow such a grotesque and vindictive
What the fuck? What was that cut, dude? Because no God would allow that, and God wouldn't do that. And yeah, if I believe in God, God wouldn't actually do any of that. And that would be
of injustice. And many of these religions pretend to be the only ones with the
Wait, he believes justice exists? Where are my atheists? Hey, where are my atheists in the chat? Do you guys believe justice exists? No.
absolute truth. But if God was the truth, then why are all the various scriptures full of already falsified fairy tales? And why does every religious apologist have to knowingly lie for a living? Why is it that even if you could gather every religion together, not only could none of them show that they're any more accurate than every other faith, but all of them combined can't even show that there's a there there, that there even is a supernatural at all?
According to you, we can prove supernatural based on your terms. That's what's so funny about atheists is like they're always yelling and screaming and crying about the supernatural, and then you're like, do rights exist? And they're like, well, yeah. And then you're like, do facts exist? Does information exist? Does meaning exist? Does math exist? It's like these things are not found in nature. Now, they put them in a different category because they just have to use them. They're like, no, I believe in those because I just have to use them. I believe in logic because I have to use it. But not angels I don't need. Well, we're not talking about what you think you need or not. We're talking about your epistemic criterion for what constitutes real, worthy of belief, and not. Right? And really one of the best moments I found in my debate with Leo Filius, which I discovered as I was talking about it, I didn't realize this, that the justified true belief, that system of belief that the atheist holds to, the third and most important element of that justifying a belief, the third bullet point is that it passes this test of reliability, testability, evidence-based stuff, right? But reliability itself, the term reliability, what constitutes reliability, that belief, a belief in reliability, doesn't actually pass the justified true belief test.
I've spoken with several experts about this, and they say that there is no support for mind-body dualism. Not only is there no evidence of a soul right where it really would be if such were real, but there is so much evidence against it that neuroscientists are confident in saying that there's no
I have more shoulders than he has neck. That's hilarious.
such thing as a soul. Without that, there can be no afterlife, and thus most versions of God are rendered moot.
See, there's nothing about this that's showcasing the logic of atheism. I actually can't take it anymore. It's so bad. It's really horrifying. Horrifying stuff. Oy vey, yeah, indeed. Oy vey, indeed. Whew. That was too much for me. Too much. See, this is where evidentialism leads you, though. Like, there's no other place evidentialism can take you but into absurdity. It just can't. It can't. It has to take you to absurdity. They're all stuck in the same exact loop, too. It's the same loop. Same loop. You bring up this problem. Don't you assume a bunch of things that you can't prove evidentially? Well, no, I mean, kind of, but I don't really. Yeah, kind of, but I mean, not really. But I mean, I need them. I need those things. Silly Billy, silly pants. It is. They call us a death cult. They're in a death cult for sure. There's nothing serious about him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a lolcow at this point. Maybe even from the atheist perspective. So, yeah, he was right. Potbelly vampire goblins are after us, Joe. Joe. I don't know. You guys have the homework. I'm going to be doing a stream with Jay next week. We're going to cover 2 movies again. One of them is Under the Silver Lake. Just so you know, there's some fairly explicit nudity in it. Definitely some bloody violence. But it like touches on sort of like truther conspiracy stuff, secret society. It's a bit abstract. It points to like some of the truth of that stuff, and it also sort of makes it wacky at the same time. So if you want to do your homework and watch that, also The Killer, Michael Fassbender, David Fincher film about an assassin. Yeah, I'm running. Yeah, I ran. Yeah, I did ran. I ran from him. I would run from him, and if I saw that thing in real life, I would run from it. Kidding me? All right. What else? Nothing evolves. This should be good. I mean, I want to really dive into evolution because tonight is the debate on evolution. So let's see what... wait, that's not right. Hold on. Hold on. Oh. Thank you. Roller skates.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about evolution.
Yes.
So the examples and fossils are...
I don't even think Peterson likes to talk about evolution anymore. I mean, does he sound excited? I feel like I may have put a bit of a damper on that topic for him after our debate.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about evolution.
Hates it. He hates it already.
So the examples and fossils I've seen are absolutely the same to the fossils we see today in the animals. So
well, they're not.
Evolution.
I don't know why you would say that.
Oh yeah, because I've seen the evidence. I've seen hundreds of fossils compared to the animals and creatures today.
There are no
Massive 20 memberships. Thank you so much for that, sir, ma'am, or sir, Murat, man, sir. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. 5 more on the goal, y'all.
No, there are 0 T-Rexes alive today.
But nobody talks about dinosaurs at this point.
Everybody talks about dinosaurs all the time. So there are no T-Rexes today, so you're wrong on that one. There's no Parasaurolophus today, so you're wrong on that one. There's no Chimaerosaurus today, so you're wrong on that one.
Chimaerosaurus?
There's no Pterodon today, so you're wrong on that one. There's no Dimorphodon, so you're wrong on that one. That's not a...
Jim Bob, thoughts on the pupa? I don't know what the pupa is. What is that? The pupa? Wait a second. That's a nice... I like that. That's a fun word. The pupa? Is that a streamer? Or is that like some new thing? Immobile transformation stage in insects. Complete metamorphosis, egg, larva, adult. Well, actually, when I look at that transformation, like we talk about babies from conception to birth, there's a transformation. In this case, insects, transformation, metamorphosis. I think the entirety of evolution is based on these more direct observations, and they admit it. That's all they did. They just looked at the observations in the real time and they, oh, look at that change. That must mean the universal of the thing we're looking at also has a change. That's like that change. That's kind of what they do. That's where it came from.
It's not. Those two aren't dinosaurs.
Pupa in the streets.
But oh God, you're
insects,
doing this.
Animals. Yeah, and there's evidence. There's many.
In what sense are those identical?
They are one by one exactly. I can go on many examples.
What do you mean by
The
exactly?
skeletal structure, the anatomy of them are just one by one the same.
Really? Are they?
Yes, they are.
How do you know that?
Is Peterson talking about the T-Rex or the without feathers? Yeah, which one? We know from the bones, though. What are you talking about?
Based on the bones.
We
As you
know
can see by
exactly
the
everything from the bones.
Or the bones. Based on the bones.
Don't you dare.
Based on the bones.
Don't you dare.
So you can't answer the question of how you know that. Okay.
Did anyone review? I'm sure it takes a while to read through it. The new Vox Day book on evolution. I'm sure it's going to get hit up by all of the Evospergs, but I didn't see anything yet.
Do you have access to
Have
the
you seen
genomes
those?
of any of those fossilized creatures?
I think I did for some of them, yeah.
I think I do.
But
Fucking
have you, have you seen those before? Those examples?
I've seen several, and they're not
Gosh, Peterson.
identical at all.
How did Peterson? He's probably like 25 or something. How did he already skip to a bitchy old gay man in his 50s without children? Like, honestly, Peterson, maybe this like back and forth debate with these people isn't good for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like maybe it's not good for your soul. A thing that you don't have, that you say you don't.
Experts know that they're distinct, which is why they have different species names.
Yeah, just interesting that there's absolutely no, at least by looking at them, you can't tell the difference. That's the very least.
Sure.
You have anything to say against that?
He hates everything.
Yep. Okay. Once again, I don't know why it takes 2 hours for that thing to refresh. So, which of these skulls are these skulls of the same animal or of different animals?
I don't know the species, I don't know the source. I can't really comment.
Okay. Did you know the species of any of those examples you were showing before? No? Okay.
Yes, I do. They're displayed. Yep.
Yep.
One of the funnest counter arguments to evolution is under their own paradigm, everything's nominal anyway. There's no such thing. There's no actual objective thing called a species, and there's certainly not an objective thing called a clade, and a clade would be necessary for the species. So it's just endless cladistics that has no known objective start point. Totally arbitrary. The whole thing's arbitrary. And if you did grant cladistics as some sort of useful way to categorize subsets, clades, subclades, subsets of clades, species, subsets of species, and so forth in a tree-like pattern, the theistic view, even generally speaking, makes more sense that those things could exist to begin with. Why? Because they need a start point. Doing cladistics with no start point doesn't make any sense. That's like appealing to a tree that doesn't have a trunk to the ground. There is no ground. From the evolutionary view, there is no ground.
Our trained technicians are standing by ready to read your Thetan energy. Are
Nice.
you ready to evolve with us?
Yeah, we're going to evolve with you, Vagine. Let me know when you guys figure out how to make toilets.
So are these the same or different?
These have slight differences, but nothing major.
Okay. Well, the problem is that the animals that you see depicted here are so different. The animals you see depicted here are actually more different than you are to a blue whale. If you compare a bat to a porpoise, a bat and a porpoise are more similar than these animals are.
What are these animals?
They are canines. Some of them are canines, but one of them is a thylacine, also known as a Tasmanian tiger, which is a...
This is what's funny is that this isn't actually in support of evolution from his perspective. It only shows that anatomy can be very similar in function. It's similar in the way it looks because it's similar in its function. So this is what's so... I just don't understand why someone like Peterson doesn't understand this is not a win for evolution. This demonstrates that the massive assumptions made when you say transitional fossils is not a good assumption, because things that are entirely different from your own tree of taxonomy, things that are entirely different can look very much the same anatomically. That means their phenotype, their expression of their genes anatomically, their function looks similar, has the same function. Things that fly look similar because they fly. Things that have hands and grab things look similar because that's what they do. If it's true that anatomy and phenotype doesn't verify similarity or relatedness in genotype, this is a self-own, dude. Now, the caller is not catching on. He should actually ran with this instead of resisting and go, oh, what are those? Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so what you're saying is the things you just brought on the screen look so similar, but they're actually entirely different things. But your entire evolutionary view that goes back into time and looks at fossils says, look, a transitional fossil. Similarity. Well, no, you just disproven similarity to be a valid bullet point or criteria.
A marsupial. So, external appearances, because of convergent evolution, don't
cell phone, yeah,
confirm that two things are the same thing. Certainly not identical, not the same thing, or even close at all. Because we have had contemporary animals that look on the surface indistinguishable from animals that they are incredibly distantly related to. So you have a major I was going to say fallacy. I don't know what the fallacy would be called, I guess.
Yeah, he could use some fallacy. Some looking up some fallacies.
But
it's all arbitrary. That's funny. Yeah.
A problem in your assertion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It totally falls apart when it's based on similarity. You know why? It gets so much worse too. Because in the short term, you look at similarity and go, that's why they frame it like that. You know, they frame it like, here's a human and here's a thing that looks kind of like a human, but it's not a human, admittedly. And we must come from that because look how similar in anatomy and phenotype. But then you're like, yeah, but you also believe that humans, including that ape thing that you're thinking is the pre-human, the proto-human, that came from something that, if you go back far enough, is entirely different, both phenotypically and genotypically. So it's like they don't even hold to their standard. In the short term, they go, look at similarity. It must be. Then you go, wait, how far back would you like to go? Because you have to go back, right? To say evolution's true, you have to go back further. And this is where they get squirrely. And I've debated enough of them where it'll happen tonight. They get squirrely when they go back in time and they start going, well, we don't actually know that. We don't really know. Because if it's true that something that looks zero like a human, phenotypically, anatomically, could be the ancestor of a human, you can't use similarity anymore. And you don't have access to genetics at that point either. So what are we basing this on? Nothing. Arbitrary. It's just totally, it's all falling apart.
Assertion here.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. From a jigsaw. From Saw. From one of the Saw movies. Yes. This goal might look similar to previous ones, but it's in fact, yes, it evolved.
I understand. There's different species looking the same.
I actually
examples are-
seriously
yeah,
doubt that you understand it at all.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, the caller's actually not prepared because Peterson literally just gave him a softball layup.
Now you know.
Just a, here you go, hit a home run.
I explained it. Four
Not
different
listening.
animals look
He's not listening.
the same. They have nothing to do with each other, but they have this almost the same structure.
Oh, maybe
Okay.
he is.
Okay.
So he is. Maybe he is.
Underestimated you.
But those fossils that I have in front of me right now, there are hundreds of examples of at least 50 to 500 million years, and we see no
When am I debating? Well, who knows if he'll accept, but this dude, Sean Kelly, who runs a huge podcast, Social Hour, I think it's called, he asked me, hey, what topics and who? I said, evolution, Professor Dave, or Forrest Valkai. I asked James this. James said that Forrest Valkai is so woke he won't debate on modern day debate. I'm going to animate him next. I'm going to just go right after these people. You know what I'm saying? Next episode of Skeptics is going to be Forrest Valkai. He's going to be the guy on the left. Huge, dangling, dumb quaff. Little beak nose. Talks like a game show host. Evolution. Men can be women.
change. So if you look at the
On the next episode of Women Could Have Penises.
mainstream narrative, they're saying that there should be change. There always is change. There's major changes.
Yes, and there is
stuff
change.
we actually
The species of horseshoe crab we see in the fossil record, none of them are the same species of horseshoe crab we see.
You don't have, Peterson, when you realize this, maybe you'll start being a little more skeptical on evolution. When you realize that you don't have an absolute standard for species, dude. You don't have that. You can't say these objective claims. It doesn't make any sense. You can't say species A is objectively different than species B and then say, by the way, we have no objective standard for species. You just invalidated the entire thing. Also, fossil, singular, doesn't even make sense as a category under nominalism. It doesn't. They don't understand the philosophical issues with this. They never think about philosophy, by the way. All of science today, they totally avoid philosophy. They don't care if it's illogical. They don't care if they're granting themselves things that they have to deny, like universal categories. All of the fossils, all the species are their own unique universal nature. The new universal for each next offspring is not actually objectively in the same species. It's a new species all entirely because it's a unique nominal thing altogether. By the way, there's a lizard that procreates asexually. And so that just offsets this entire thing because if a species is something that can procreate within its own population, that lizard doesn't need the rest of the population. So that means that the lizard itself is its own population, singularly, a single person population, which doesn't make sense because a population is plural. And it's also its own species, completely uniquely. There's no other species like it because it's its own kind, uniquely.
Today, their outward appearance looks similar, but that's like saying, oh, there were turtles 200 million years ago, and there are turtles today. Therefore, evolution doesn't happen.
Astral Mormon Wine Mom is hilarious. How do you explain millions of old dino? I don't buy those. I live in Colorado. There's actually a place you can visit, which is one day I'm going to do a live stream. I'm going to go visit this thing because I went before. And it's just like these giant like chicken footprints that are so perfectly imprinted, and the way they're laid out doesn't make sense for anything walking. And I think that during the time where there was less communication, no cell phones, less reporters, harder to cross-examine things in real time. That's where a lot of lies can start. I think someone just straight up did it and was like, I could charge people to look at these things. I think they just cast them or something because it doesn't make any sense. You're like, that one was preserved, but it was hopping on what? One leg? It's crazy. I'll show you a picture of it. I'll bring it up after this. It's wild.
No, the turtles of the past are different from the turtles of the present. Evolution still happens.
How different and what makes them different? Because I have fossils of turtles as well, and they're exactly like today's.
They're not exactly like today's. They have...
What do they say the pre-shell turtle is? Do they have that? By the way, Peterson, this is boring. I mean, it's not your fault, though, buddy. It's not your fault. But it is kind of boring. I'm kind of bored by it. Let me see. Is there pre-shell turtles evolution? I love... Okay, this one. Oh, I love... This is my favorite. Okay. PBS. Okay, let me see. Let's look at this. Of course, you gotta outsource to Korea. Hey, we're doing a scientific study / video on evolution. Could you guys animate for us?
230 million years ago, in what would become
Thank you so
southwestern
much for
China, a large aquatic reptile waits at the bottom of its habitat for the right time to strike at a fish. It was called Eorhynchochelys. Eorhynchochelys looked a lot like a large lizard, but it had a wide round-shaped body that was supported by wide flat ribs that looked like those found on turtles.
That's the thing. Even this, you're not even certain that those ribs were flat necessarily. They could have been flattened over time with pressure. It's like, oh, they have flat ribs. Maybe, though. Maybe.
Skeletons. This is because the flat ribs were the precursor to a shell, and Eorhynchochelys was a member of the group of animals that would eventually go on to become turtles. But there were problems. The tip of Eorhynchochelys' mouth pointed into a beak with teeth at the back of its mouth. However, later more shell turtles didn't have beaks. Eorhynchochelys' fossils have been found in an aquatic ecosystem, but there were older and later primitive turtles discovered living on land. And this discovery was just one of many roadblocks that have been in the way of finding out how turtles evolved.
You see what I'm saying? The whole entire thing is question begging. It's like turtles evolved, and now we need to find confirmation bias, and we're really trying really hard. It's like it's textbook confirmation bias. That's what they do. And they just say it to you. They just tell you, hey guys, we're going to use confirmation bias. We already assumed that turtles evolved. We're just going to assume it. We have to imagine that there's this thing that we can't explain through the mechanism itself, random mutation, that there was a turtle that became a turtle. At some point, you have to say that now is a turtle. Same thing with humans. Now is a human. You ask any of these people, I'll ask the guy tonight, when is this moment and how would you know? What's the criteria? We don't know. It's arbitrary. When does a turtle become a turtle? Is it still a turtle? Remember the guy I debated with Pakicetus? He said the Pakicetus, the wolf, was a whale. It is a whale. And vice versa. The whale is a wolf. The whale's still a wolf. It's a whale wolf. Werewolf, but it's a whale wolf. Fucking Hinduism.
Was called Proganychelis, that lived over 200 million years ago in the Triassic period. Proganychelis was discovered in the 1800s, and for a while this was the oldest turtle ancestor known to have existed. It showed that turtles were ancient, being around as old as dinosaurs, but it just looked like a turtle and didn't offer any clues of how their shell or other prominent turtle features evolved. Luckily, since the discovery of Proganochelys, many other turtle ancestors have been discovered that have transitionary features of both turtles and the reptiles they evolved from.
See what I'm saying? A transitionary feature. That is a nonsense word. They don't even have a sense of what transition is. Like, right now, here, look, let's make it simple. Right now, is the shell actually a transitional feature? Because they go, look at this thing on the screen. I'm gonna bring it into Photoshop and add a little brown on the back and be like, look, that's kind of where the shell might be. So it's a transitional feature, right? Well, no, hold on a second. You're just arbitrarily taking a singular thing and going, look, similarity, shape, maybe. So it's on its way to getting a shell. Well, no, if that was true, what's true about every animal today, if it were suddenly petrified and fossilized, you'd have to say, this right now is a transitional feature to something in the future. So a shell itself, a turtle shell, as we know it today, has to be itself a transitional feature to something else. Now, this is what they never predict, because, again, they'll admit, well, we don't have time to do that. We don't have time to. But they would have to admit, if they wanted to be predictive about it, they would say, okay, well, we can predict something that doesn't have a shell right now will have a shell. Something that has a shell right now will not have a shell, maybe. They never do that. They never do that. That's work. Thank you. Yeah, for the evolution propaganda. What if we put our bones on the outside? They don't even think. It's all accidental.
However, although this has cleared up some unknowns, the question of where turtles came from and which animals they are most closely related to is still uncertain.
I'm sorry, guy. That's uncertain for all of your animals. That's not just true of the turtles. They're like, well, when we look at this animal, we're still unsure of where it came from. Yeah, I know. That's true of everything from your view. Everything. There's no starting point, right? You have to say, like, there's a universal, Luca, right? The universal first ancestor for all things. What is it, I ask? I'll ask tonight. What is it? I don't know what it is. I mean, it's like just like beginning animal of all animals. It's the Alpha and Omega. It's Christ, but a creature.
At first, it was thought that turtles weren't closely related to any other living reptile groups, and may have been the last survivors of an ancient lineage of reptiles. All reptiles alive today, like crocodiles, lizards, and snakes, are known as diapsids, which all descended from a common ancestor over 300 million years ago.
Oh, really? See? Totally arbitrary. They all evolved from this ancestor. I'm sorry, why did you just put a stop point? You know what I mean? They put a cork in history. They go, whoa, stop. We'll stop right there. You go, wait a second. You just said the common ancestor is this thing, right? Why did you stop there? What do you mean? Isn't this thing you call the common ancestor have a lineage too? No, we stopped there. Why? Because we feel like it. We stop right there. And I go, no, you can't stop right there. This is why they don't like abiogenesis, because they know if you keep pushing, you do get to it. Because they need a trunk rooted in the ground to have a tree of life. Look at the tree of life. Look at the branches. Look at the clades. Look at the subcategories. Look at the species. Look at it. It's so beautiful. It all comes back to where? Well, we don't have a place. We don't have a time. We don't have it. It has to be floating in space. A tree that has no ground. That's what it is. Listen to it again. Listen to the abrupt stop. Like, just listen to how they talk.
Which all descended from a common ancestor over 300 million years ago.
Yeah. The common ancestor, whatever you think that was, you forgot to name it, by the way, that has an ancestor too. So why is that the common ancestor and not something before it? I always ask these people this. ask them on X. I'll ask them tonight. I'll ask in all the debates I ever do. Wait, why did you decide at this point that that's the common ancestor? Well, because we like to do it.
However, around this time, there was another, now extinct group of reptiles called the anapsids.
Thank you, Shino.
The anapsids were very dominant during the Permian, but they went extinct around 200 million years ago in the late Triassic. Due to similarities in their skull structure, it was thought that turtles may actually belong to an ancient lineage of anapsids that survived into the present day.
Now, cross it, take what he just said, similar skull shapes, with what Peterson just brought up, right? Look at these skull shapes. They're all similar. We're going to now conclude inductively that they come from each other, right? Well, Peterson just demonstrated that that's not true. That's not a good reasoned conclusion, right? From their perspective. And yet, here he is doing it. Well, they found a skull shape that looked similar. Even though we know, based on our own view, that there's a multiplicity of similar skull shapes that are not from related things. Oh my gosh.
However, modern DNA studies have shown that it is very unlikely that turtles are anapsids, but which group of diapsids they belong to is not known yet.
Yeah, see, arbitrary. This is what they do. The guy did this on X too. Just arbitrarily create a fork, and then, well, it comes from something. There's something happens over here. I'm not going to show the other slide, but can you just grant me this singular branch right here? Well, no. Well, I don't. I don't grant you this thing. That's arbitrary. This little tuning fork right here, completely arbitrary.
One study has shown that they are most closely related to crocodiles and birds. However, the most popular theory concerning the origins of the turtles places them closest to lizards and tuataras. Specifically, that they belong to a group of animals known as the Sauropterygians, that actually contains plesiosaurs. But why and how did turtles develop their shells? The oldest
Dude, I asked that question about literally everything inside and outside of the body. And guess what? Guess what? No answers!
animal thought to be a turtle ancestor was called Eunotosaurus, that lived in what is southern Africa today,
I thought the name of this was the evolution of turtles.
About 260 million years ago in the late Permian period.
Really?
Like Eorhynchocelis, Eunotosaurus had no shell, but had a wide round torso with flattened ribs that are seen in modern turtles, hidden under their shell. And there were several other creatures from around this time that show the same adaptations. So although...
because it conveys authority. I believe that. I believe that they'd rather have British people talking, you know. You're like, wow, that's amazing. He probably uses a napkin when he eats. Huh.
Some scientists disagree that Eunotosaurus was closely related to turtles. It is agreed that turtles developed a wider body as a precursor to their shell, and this causes a problem because it is easy to see the advantage of having a protective shield, and so why turtles would have evolved them. But it is difficult.
No, that's not how evolution works, bro. See, they keep swapping this. The guy will do it tonight, guaranteed. I should play bingo. I should play evolution bingo, because they always do this. They say, well, it evolved a hard shell because it had to. I was like, no, that's actually not what evolution teaches. It teaches that random mutation produces this novelty called a hard shell, not with any purpose, and that because it produced it accidentally, it happened to provide an advantage in the environment. They always say it like it's like, well, it needed to, and it was to help them survive.
Hold them, but it is the advantage of having a protective shield, precursor to their shell,
listen.
And this causes a problem because it is easy to see the advantage of having a protective shield, and so why turtles would have evolved them.
No, evolution doesn't claim. They don't even know their own dogma. Evolution doesn't claim that because something would be advantageous, they should evolve them.
But it is difficult to see why their ancestors would have needed wide, flat ribs.
They don't need anything, bro. No evolution happens from need. But they always swap this. They go, no, can I go back into need? Things evolve because I needed them. No. According to evolution, that's not how it works. Things, quote, evolve from random mutation, and it produces something that is not needed. You don't produce it because it's needed. You produce it because it's accidental. And then the environment comes in and goes, you lucked out. You got a good deck. You were dealt a good deck of cards.
For a four-legged creature, the widening of the ribs has a very serious effect on the animal's mobility. To see this, look no further than turtles. Breathing is restricted, and movement becomes more difficult as ribs are primarily used to support the torso during movement, and they play an important role in lung function. Broader ribs mean a stiffer body, which will lead to a shortening of stride length and less efficient breathing. Rib bones in vertebrates don't vary very much, and the ribs of an elephant are actually very similar to the ribs of a stegosaurus, despite these animals being very distantly related. It seems that when it comes to torso and rib shape, there are very few shapes that do the job well, and so most animals are similar in this respect. However, turtles and their ancestors are the exception, and their ribs are highly modified. There is evidence among these turtle ancestors that their chests started to expand to help them dig, and that the early shellless turtle were in fact burrowing animals. Unitosaurus's front claws were much larger than...
I love the picture. You know what? If you don't have any evidence for your claims, just draw a picture. Next time someone asks me for evidence of God, I'm just going to draw a picture. You know what I mean? If that's what I have to do, if I should just keep drawing things.
Its hind feet, and fossils showed that its forelimbs had large anchor points for big muscles, meaning their front limbs would have been very muscular as well. All of these being common features seen among many burrowers.
And guess what? You notice how, again, they go to arbitrary stopping points. Someone like me is going to ask a different question. Wait a second. I'm wondering about the turtle, the earliest turtle before the limbs. What happened there? Why'd you grant yourself limbs? I'm sorry. Well, in order to look at the turtle, go to the ancestors of the turtle, we're just going to go do a hop, skip, and a jump to other things with limbs, even though I can't explain how the limbs got there in the first place. And then I'm going to get into behavior that I can't possibly prove. Burrowing.
Based on the bones, as you can see by the bones, or the bone. Based on the bones.
Yeah.
Based on the bones.
Burrowing animals. If Unitosaurus was a burrowing animal, its broad ribs would make sense, because they would support and stabilize a powerful digging action. So it is thought that before turtles became walking fortresses...
I'm sorry, see what I'm saying? They give a behavior and then they justify the thing. What came first, the behavior or the thing, dude? Well, it was kind of like both. No? Yeah, well, it makes sense if we imagine a behavior that justifies the thing, even though the thing had to exist without that thing, and the behavior would have to be different. You know what I'm saying? It's like the woodpecker, right? The woodpecker, clip it, has a long tongue. The tongue had to evolve to be long. That means it had to exist without a long tongue, but it evolved the long tongue because it needed to. Well, no. While it was evolving the long tongue, it clearly didn't need it. It survived just fine, reproduced just fine without the long tongue. They always do this. They give you a vision of the necessity of the thing, and this is why it works on people who are unthinking. They don't think about it. They're like, yeah, that actually makes sense. It was doing the thing, so it needed the thing. You're like, no, dude. For it to be alive, you have to choose. Did it do the behavior? In which case it didn't need the thing. It just got the thing randomly. It helped the current behavior it had. Or you're saying that it started having the thing, and then it started to do a behavior that was consistent with having the thing. Oh, new tool. Power up.
Fortresses, they were wide-bodied professional burrowers, but then later down the line used this platform to develop a shell. And this would mean that the evolution of the turtle shell would be an example of exaptation, which is when a trait evolves for a certain function, but then this...
See what I'm saying? You see what they grant themselves in this language? A trait evolves for a certain function. No. You're all over the place. If random mutation is the mechanism that produces new, quote, features that then also have to have a function, by the way, notice how they grant themselves both. A feature, but it also does something. An appendage that has a shape, but also it magically has a function. These are two separate things, by the way. Two separate things. They say both. There's a structure and it has a function. In other words, we're looking at the bombardier beetle. It could have very well been the case that a bombardier beetle developed sacs for no reason and they were empty. No function. No function. But no, they have to go hand in hand. Oh, well, it developed for a function. No, that's direction. That's purpose. That's intent. That's teleology. Oh, it randomly produced something for a function. It's a contradiction.
Same trait is later co-opted.
But evolution is a fact and a theory. See, I don't even know if people are being sarcastic in my chat anymore.
And developed on to serve a different function.
See what I'm saying? Just listen to what he's saying. You just got to listen to the words of these psychopaths.
Then the same trait is later co-opted.
Listen.
Would be an example of exaptation, which is when a trait evolves for a certain function.
And a trait evolves for a future function. Accidental knowledge of the future? Accidental knowledge of the future.
But then the same trait is later co-opted and developed on to serve a different function.
Like, look at the bird. Like, just like, this is what I imagine. Like, look at this bird. Beautiful colors, symmetry. It's got a beak. It's got wings. It's functional. It does what birds do. But from their view, this had to come from something that wasn't this. And for every step between what this was and what it is now has to be its own unique universal thing and make sense the same way we look at this. Oh, look at that. Look at the bird. Look at the bird. Pretty little bird. That's a pretty bird. I like his eyes. It's like a nice little bird. God's creature. Oh, but before that, it didn't look like this. It was something else. It's like, okay, what is it? Oh, look at that temporary bird.
For instance, feathers initially evolved for heat regulation, but now birds use them for all sorts of things.
You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? They just arbitrary. Oh, well, initially feathers, they wanted heat regulation. They were cold, so their scales, their dragon scales turned into feathers because they were cold. So cold. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry and cold. And then they're like, but then they started flying too. See, first the bird thing wasn't a bird yet, but it was a bird-like thing, and that it had wings to grow feathers, but the wings were useless. But then it was a cold-winged thing, and then it was like, well, I gotta grow feathers because I'm shivery. Oh, lo and behold, the feathers also work aerodynamically for flying, accidentally, on accidental wings that they didn't use the same way, right? Where's the bald? Look, where's the actual bald eagle with no feathers? Where's the literal bald eagle? It's fucking...
like flying and mating displays.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at that accidental thing. I'm sorry. There is a male and a female. And they've been mating for how long under the evolutionary view, as they are? And then this guy's like, you know what? I'm cold and I want to show off. I'm freezing and I'm feeling cocky. You know what? I'm going to grow massively beautiful feathers that look like it literally looks like how the Bible describes angels. You know why? No reason, but the girls might like it accidentally. I mean, the stories these people tell. Like, I almost don't believe it when I hear it, what they're saying.
For heat regulation.
I can't believe they're saying it. It's like ultimate gaslighting.
But now birds use them for all sorts of things, like flying and mating displays.
Why would the bird use that for a mating display? Why would that be the function?
And it turns out that the evolution of the turtle shell is the same. Eunotosaurus was at least mostly a land-dwelling animal, but the later species of turtle ancestors discovered living after Eunotosaurus seem to have moved into the water, with plenty.
They moved into the water. Gentrification on land. They're like, you get out of here. You're going to go to the water. They moved into the water. Yeah. Are you guys ready? I know we've been living quite fine, surviving, fine-tuning our existence right here on land. But guess what? Bad news, kids. We're moving into the water. But I made friends at school. I just got used to this place. No, moving into the water. Figure out how to swim underwater and breathe underwater quick. We're doing it. Don't worry. We'll do it gradually. One little tiptoe at a time. We'll put our feetsies in and then our shinsies in. And then we'll dunk our heads first. And then we'll dunk our heads longer for no reason. And then one day, we'll do the eternal dip. This is like a euphemism. It's like some pseudo-evolutionary naturalistic baptism. The death of the animal by way of water. The resurrection of a new beast by way of submersion. These people are sick. They're actually sick people teaching our kids. They're sick. So if an animal's environment pressures never change, the animal would never evolve. Why do animals go extinct if there's an environmental change? Yeah, that's actually, well, that's the thing, Giovanni. They're arbitrary with what consists of what constitutes an extinction event. You know, because they're like, okay, so if it's true that survival of the fittest and adaptation to the environment, and the environment is the variable for natural selection, like, how long have there been volcanoes, earthquakes, and floods and all the rest, right? Because you would think, like, what would account for most death isn't slow failure to adapt. It would be quick failure to adapt. Rapid execution of massive amounts of populations via catastrophic events of the world. That would be the dominant cause of death, from my perspective.
Of evidence of a semi-aquatic lifestyle. One of these was called Odontic
Share your feathers.
Hellis, that was found in China and would have
You're hogging your feathers.
lived around 220 million years ago in the mid-Triassic period. Like Eunotosaurus, it had a round and wide body, but also had the beginnings of a shell on its underside, known as the plastron, but no evidence of a shell on its top side. This offers good evidence that turtles started to develop their shell from the bottom up, but also that turtles evolved their shell in an aquatic setting, because the earliest turtle with at least a bit of a shell was discovered in the water, but also because if the shell was for protection, it would make sense that they would evolve chest first while in the water, because this part of the body is more exposed while swimming than it would be if they were on land.
What? No, that's purpose. What is this guy doing? Well, it would make sense he would develop it on the bottom accidentally because for purpose, which is not accidental. So obviously, if you're going to develop a shield out of nowhere without any intent from accidental mutations, you would develop it on the bottom because that's where you're vulnerable. So you would do that. Evolution would do that accidentally. Would do that. You know, thought out engineering, you know. It's like this is what's so crazy is that they reject design, and in every sense of the words they use engineering and design as the context. He just spoke of the bottom part of the shell from this narrative of the turtle, as if a design mind was thinking about this. Like, well, we should do it for this reason. Great design.
The stem turtles that have been discovered after Unitosaurus being at least partly aquatic.
In fact, you can't even talk about evolution in a meaningful way without assuming there are appendages, functional mechanisms inside, outside the body that have clear, defined purpose. There's no way to talk about any of the body, any anatomy in any meaningful way without assuming that what it does, its purpose, is completely proper to what it is, its nature, that they're inextricably tied. When you say, what is the liver? You know you're not referring to the heart, right? Well, why is that? It can't be just the shape of it. What does it do? Oh, that's interesting. What it does. What does it do? And honestly, what's so fun about this for me is being Orthodox, you see why nature persons in a way carries over to the essence, the natures of things and their purpose. Now, we don't assign personhood to animals. We assign a sort of animated will, not the same type of will as a human, but we do assign a will to animals, and we don't assign culpability. So it's distinct. They're not made in God's image, but they do have some capacities. And so when you look at what something is, the nature of it, the universal nature of it, it is tied to its proper behaviors. Its behaviors are proper to its nature. A lion's behavior is proper to its nature. You never judge a lion for what it does because it's proper to its nature. It's not a contradiction. There's no asking it to change. The same is true for our appendages and the things that are inside our bodies, even outside our bodies. That they're proper to their nature. Their function is proper to the nature that they're in. Human. Eyes, ears, mouth, speaking, doing, function, stewarding, philosophy. But this is true about things, livers, hearts. We know the function. We know the heart universally from its universal function, what the function is. That's what gives us the capability to assign a nature to it, a category to it. Under evolution, there is no universal category of anything. The function changes, therefore it escapes the nature of what it is. That's what evolution has to hold, is that eventually the nature of something, the category of what it is, what it does eventually escapes what it is. This is like Gnosticism at a micro level. You know, the kind of view that, from a Gnostic view, the earth, the world, it's a prison. We have to escape the prison of its nature. With our will, with our mind, with our reasoning, with our technology, we're going to ascend. Apotheosis. Evolution is like that, but on a smaller scale. It assumes that the thing itself and what it does, the changing function of what it does, will escape the nature that it is. This is why it's nominal. This is why it's incoherent. This is why they can't defend it. Because they can't tell you when these things change, because you're telling them, they basically have to say, I'm violating the law of identity at some point. That there is a time in play, there's a time and place under the evolutionary view where a human, as we know it, didn't exist, and then it did exist. New nature. Ultimately a new objective category altogether. I need this thing now, a million years. Yeah, I need this thing now. Give me a million years. Oh, boy, we really need this thing. Just give it a million years. And hope, by the way, Colin Rocks, that the environment stays. I mean, what kind of mutual fund investment is that anyway? That's what it is. It's like bad mutual fund investing. Here's a collection of potential traits from random mutation that might work out. And you're like, when do they yield? When do we get out? Well, I mean, Standard, who knows, like 20 years, 50 years could be good. No, we're talking a million years. What? Reproductive organs is literally the death blow to evolution through random mutation. Yeah, obviously all purpose breaks the model, but that one is easily, that specific purpose. Well, but what's crazy though, Cha, is that it's still tied to every other thing. So for reproduction to have purpose, and especially going from sort of asexual hermaphroditic to two sexes, you now have, you also have all of these other codependent organs. When there's organ failure, it's a holistic problem as well. It's not just that thing. That thing then affects this thing. And they have to say that all of these things develop and change at the same time. In fact, there's no distinction between developing and changing. That's what's wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like from an engineering perspective. Imagine an engineering firm that was set on intentionally designing something, but designing something was also changing what it was while you're designing it. That's what evolution posits. But it's not, it's actually worse because there's no designer or intent. So it's like an extra insane element to it. It's in the process of developing into something. Yeah, but isn't it also changing? So it has a through line, a consistent through line towards a target of making a heart, but it's also changing. So the animal changes, but it keeps the direction toward making a heart from random mutation to making a brain. Yeah, but it's also changing. This makes no sense.
Actually makes a lot of sense, because the adaptations required for being good at digging are similar to those that make animals good swimmers. For instance, although it may not look like it, burrowing animals like moles and armadillos are also excellent swimmers. The broad-ribbed adaptations that made the turtle ancestors better at digging would have presented the turtles with a lot of problems in other areas, like being one of the reasons that turtles are very slow. Reptiles walk in a sprawling posture, with
turtles are now slow, but they weren't always turtles. Their nature was not slow at some point.
Their limbs coming out from the side of their body, and so in order to move quickly, they have to flex their entire torso. The widening of the torso would have made this flexing motion almost impossible. However, living in the water would have drastically reduced this issue. So once turtles had developed their extreme modifications to their...
See what I'm saying? Once I grant modifications... They always say this. This is what it's like once upon a time. We say this to our kids before bed. Once upon a time. Once they develop their modifications, once I grant this process that I'm supposed to be explaining how it happens, instead of explaining how it happens, I'm going to just say, once it did it, but once it happened, now it makes sense. Does cancerous cells fall within their definition of evolution, as in the process of becoming something new? Actually, now there are some silly people. You guys know Bridge the Divide, that annoying beaver boy? One of his arguments for evolution, where I ask, tell me when a one organism of a type, of a kind, literally produces something that's not it, that's not its kind. He says, there's a special kind of cancer in dogs that if you look at it under a microscope, it literally is a dog. I'm like, what are you saying? A clump of cells of cancer from a dog is the dog? It is a dog? So it's now classified as a dog? So I could say, give me that clump of cells, I'm going to take it to the vet, and I want the vet to look at my dog. The vet shouldn't look at me like I'm a nut job, right? Hey, take a look at my dog. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's in this Petri dish. What are you talking about? It's a dog. It's actually a dog.
Their torso, they were funneled into certain lifestyles, with one of them being becoming an aquatic creature. Another defined...
Imagine saying becoming an aquatic creature. You see what I'm saying? About the violation of the law of identity? That the nature of something, the very thing you're referring to, you can't refer to because it's changing to something it's not. That's what evolution has these people believe. Oh, yeah, no, the nature of something just literally just vanishes and it becomes something else. Becoming. becoming a butterfly. It's Hinduism. It's crazy. It literally denies, it actually denies simultaneously, it tries to hold to and deny the nature of something. Yo, what's up, Avarice? Nice to see you, dude.
The defining feature of modern turtles is their beak, that they use for slicing through leaves or to hammer down on prey. And Odontochelys didn't have one. Odontochelys literally translating into toothed turtle with a half shell. However,
two turtles and a half shell.
Eorhynchochelys did.
Two tooths and a half shell.
The problem is, the Eorhynchochelys was about 10 million years older than Odontochelys, and although had wide flat ribs, did not have a shell, or even half of one. So
he was hungry.
The more advanced and younger turtle had no beak, and the older turtle did.
Advanced, they talk about advanced. Oh, I'm advanced. What are you talking about? The more advanced one.
It seems that beaks may have evolved at least twice among turtles, and their evolution was just very complicated.
Oh, it's just complicated. I get it. I know.
Evolution.
I have an assumption. Like I'm gonna predict that the word that's complicated is gonna be used a lot. So maybe we should make a funny code word in the chat when it says when my opponent says it's complicated.
Is not a linear process, and sometimes closely related animals will branch off and do their own thing. But also, sometimes closely related animals will branch off and still end up doing the same thing. For instance, there is a family of birds called the Confuciornithids, coincidentally from China as well, that are notable for being some of the first birds to lose their teeth and develop a beak. However, the twist...
What's a bird without a beak with teeth? One of the first birds to lose its teeth and then grow a beak. What would it just have nothing there? Just like a little human mouth? Ah! Is that a bird? What is it? A little tooth-filled non-beak. What are you saying?
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Like, honestly.
Their teeth and develop a beak.
Listen.
As well, that are notable for being some of the first birds to lose their teeth and develop a beak.
One of the first birds to lose their teeth and develop a beak. What are you referring to, crackhead? What are you talking about, junkie? I feel like I wish I had my drawing pad right now. I want to draw. I want to draw what this guy's categorically calling a bird that doesn't have a beak but has teeth, but it's a bird.
However, the twist is that this bird beak was most likely not the same beak we see on modern birds today, and evolved separately, and these animals are another example of a...
You imagine a bird with all its wings and all its function, but its face is just a human mouth. It's like, well, it's still a bird, it doesn't have all of its birdness. It's mostly bird, but missing its mouth. And it's going to lose its teeth one day and grow up to be a beak. One day it'll get its beak. Why does it have a beak? Doesn't need a beak. It needs a beak. Well, it helps. By the way, the beak has to grow from not beak, so it has to be 1/8 of a beak. And eventually a full beak. We don't know where that is either. How do you know it's a full beak? You don't know.
Beak evolving on multiple occasions across the same animal group. It is basically convergent evolution, but on a closely related species. And if different animals can evolve the same feature, it actually makes a lot of sense that a similar animal would as well.
Look, evolution would assume that random mutations actually produce these features over a long period of time without the knowledge of necessity, by the way. And now you have a bigger problem. Now you have unrelated animals developing the same exact trait from random mutations. Evolution people, have you ever considered abandoning this idea of random anything? Did it ever occur to you that everything that biology does and has to offer has a proper function, and you can cite improper functions like dysfunction because there's proper function. That is to say, anything that happens in the body has a function. That's not accidental. They're like, no, we need the accidental part. Even though it's clear that unrelated things develop nearly identical functions accidentally. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And symmetrically. Two. Why two? Well, it helps. It's better. Two. No, isn't 8 better? Isn't 8 better? Nah, 2's good. Mostly 2. I mean, insects have like more. Spiders have some. 2's good though. 2's good. Accidentally. Symmetry? Accidentally. Arms on each side? Accidentally.
So Eorhynchocalis was just a sign of things to come, rather than being the ancestor of the beaked turtles. So the evolution of turtles presented many difficulties for scientists to figure out, and it turns out that this was because it was a complicated mosaic of turtle-like reptile offshoots.
Unbelievable, these people. They don't even care what they're talking about anymore. Well, because it was really complicated of a mosaic of completely different natured things. We finally figured out the puzzle. You know how? We just overlapped all of the different animals. Take a little bird, take a little turtle, take a little lizard, take a little this, take a little that, put it in the microwave. There you go. You got a multiplicity of natures all baked into one cake.
Each with different...
These people should be physically locked in a padded cell.
Different turtle features. And although a vague story of how they evolved may finally be emerging, there are still many
Yeah, that's actually more, thank you. No natures. That's right.
Mysteries waiting to be uncovered with the new discoveries that are bound to happen. Thank you for watching. A big shout out goes to all my patrons.
Oh, shut up. You deserve nothing. You should have all your money taken from you. Honestly. Your country deserves to be taken over by Somalians, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Thank you all for listening. I mean, what do we got? I mean, these people. I hate it so much. Because, I get blackpilled by culture stuff, immigration, progressivism. For some reason, this whole thing kills me. Because it's just so philosophically broken. Nothing in that entire video explained anything at all. Nothing. It was a giant story. It was just like me reading a book to my kid. The entire thing. The whole damn thing. And it's like these evotards just eat this up, dude. They just eat it up. Oh, and then it mixed with them. And there was a beakless bird who had a human mouth. And then it lost its teeth and it grew a beak. It was a bird, but it didn't have a beak. It was a tooth. It had teeth. Then it needed a beak. It's like that. But the turtle. Well, we'll do that with the turtle. And other things. And just keep adding things and buying stuff. It's like when you play a game and you upgrade on things. It's like, that's cool. Get a shell. You know what I thought of a really cool video game? I wish I knew video game people. They're all like progressive morons with blue hair most of the time. But I thought of a really cool video game. And it's... you're a crow. You're raven or crow, Corvus, and you solve problems. So it gets consistently harder and harder, and it's 3D, like really good graphics, good lighting, and you're in a setting. Each board is a new setting, and you have to examine the sort of blocks and locks and sticks and things, and you have to figure it all out. See, if I had FU money, that's the kind of stuff I'd be working on. Doesn't make any sense for real. Why did we human males, all of us, only develop one singular testicle? That's funny, dude. Yeah, why? Yeah, why? Yeah, why? It's a really good joke, by the way. Nicely done. Very similar. I don't know if it exists like with the graphics that I'm thinking, right? A Raven puzzle video game. Because the other idea was like you're a bird and your job is to deliver scrolls in all different time periods in all different open worlds. So like and things are after you. So you have to, there's high altitude problems, there's low altitude problems, there's all these things in between, and your whole job is to deliver this scroll. Sounds like so much fun. Help, Raven's puzzle. Yeah, I don't see it though. There's not an actual game where there's a three-dimensional. You know, it'd be beautiful, too. Like, it would get all the iridescent of the Raven, different angles, the realistic movements of the Raven. You can hop and change views of things. You could jump on things. You could look under things. That'd be so cool. Goose Game's the best. Was awesome. Yeah, that's actually what's inspired that idea. When I played Goose Game, fantastic game, loved it. So good. I wish it was longer though. I wish that they kept coming out with new boards to that. I wish they did. I have a proposal that would dismantle your entire view. What do you mean? What is my entire view? What you got? Sell it to me. Let's go, Kang. Bring it, Kang. Give it a shot, Kang. Come on, bro. You got this, son. You got this, son. Do it. Do it. Do it. Empire Ants. That sounds fun. That sounds really fun. Yeah, I honestly thought these. You know what I think? Every time I think of an idea, especially for video games, I assume it already exists. I'm just like, yeah, impossible. Someone didn't think of that. Impossible. Where is it? Where's the guy? He said he's going to dismantle my whole entire view. Bring it, son. If God exists, why Tony cry in the stream? Damn it! I thought you were a real. I thought you were a real person. What is Marilyn up to? She's like, notice me, kick me out of the house. Love me, love me, love me, break up with me. Is that, hey, Marilyn, has that been the pattern of your romance? Has that been the pattern? Love me, kick me out. Hug me, beat my face in. It's like this like prideful female energy where it's like proof that you can't handle me. That's how the women do that. It's like self-fulfilling where they're like, you just can't handle me. I'm too much woman for you. No, it's actually the opposite. It's when women act a little too aggressive, it's too much man. It's too much masculinity for the woman. So the man is like not running away from too much woman. They're running away from too much man in the woman. You got to be more subtle. You got to be less loud. You got to be more female natured. Don't act like a dude. No one wants a dude, Marilyn. No one wants a dude. What do you want to be? What do you want to end up like anyway? You want to be like Amy Schumer? Is that what you want? You want to wake up, look in the mirror, and you see Chelsea Handler's skull with the flesh dripping off her face? I'm still happy I didn't have kids. I'm so happy I didn't have kids. Oh, yeah, I can't wait to hear from this one. There's nothing better than mixing feminism with evolution.
Evolution feels straightforward, inevitable, kind of familiar. If I was to ask you to conjure up in your mind the image that most represents human evolution, it would probably be that march of progress illustration. One species leads to another species, leads to another species, until eventually we, Homo sapiens, enter the scene and it is...
And then we start aborting our babies. And we start chest feeding. The march of progress.
Game over for everyone else. Only it turns out that human evolution isn't...
All right, cankles. Lady, go to the doctor. Check it out, man.
Actually linear.
How'd you get your foot in your shoe? Did you use a flat bar? You need like a needle to extract something in there. I suddenly want a burrito.
It's much more complicated than that, because this is the only time in our species' history that only one species of human walks this earth. We previously, for tens of thousands of years, shared the planet with many, many other species of human. Some were stronger than us, some were tall, some were tiny, some were incredibly smart. Today, with the help of some of the leading experts in the field,
you have to remember that you could go your entire life and never make one of these discoveries, not even a piece, not even a tooth. And yet now we're in this period where it's exploding.
No, it's not exploding. You know why it's exploding? It's because they're defining these things into existence. He's like, oh man, like all the evidence and all of the bone stuff. It's like, I mean, you could live 1,000,000 years and not find a single tooth. But for some reason, in the last 100 years, we just keep finding new species, the thing that we have no objective standard for. It's amazing. Did you find a new species? Yes, it's an objective fact, Jim Bob. Do you deny reality? Do you deny reality? It's an objective fact you found a new species. Yeah. You got any counter to that, Jim Bob? Oh, yeah. I just had a question. Is species an objective thing? No. Two-parter, Big B Smalls, thank you for the $5. If genetic mutations are random, take immense time to form new parts, must spread through populations, and don't fully pass on in breeding, then, part 2. Where's the part 1? Wouldn't fruit fly experiments timelines imply probabilities so astronomical that evolution can't realistically explain today's biological diversity? Yes. Now, if you look at the timeline, like the current math, Big B Smalls, Thank you for the two-parter. The current math, just 2 regulatory genes changing inside of a fly is something like 100,000 years. That's a prediction. Something like that. I think that's even conservative. And the same type of thing, 2 regulatory genes, nothing crazy, changing, mutating, for humans is something like 1 million years. Something like that. And this is both the fly and the human maintaining fully their humanness, that they're human. No new body plans. They're still human. They're still a fly. And get this, using the same math, they say the Pakicetus, the wolf-like thing, only took 15 million years to set off this chain of event where it eventually produced the whale. There's an old game on Commodore 64 called Potty Pigeon, and the goal was to collect twigs and make a nest, score points, shitting on cars. That's actually funny. I just was talking to my son before bed, and we were talking about video games, like what we would make for a video game. We started talking about it would be fun to if you were like a worm and you rode a bird, and the whole idea was like you were trying to poop on people, and we were just giggling. I like that idea. Poop pigeon.
So what we see from this whole fossil record, and indeed the genetic
pigeon pooper
record, is that human evolution is a process of diversification.
We introduce you to 6 ancient human species we once lived alongside, hunted alongside, and in some cases, even had children with. From the intelligent Neanderthals to the island dwarf hobbits to the long-lost Denisovans who gifted millions of us with their genes, this is the real story of the extended human family tree most of us never learnt about in school. A lot of the things that we think make us uniquely human aren't actually unique at all. In fact, some of them we actually got from these earlier species. Now, many of our ancient
Adam Green? You streaming later? $10 Ultra Void. JB, just you wait. They will prove evolution. Give it a few more decades and the mass 3D printing of bones will happen. Oh, man, when that happens, we already know that false, Piltdown Man, false fossils, false bones have been produced. Wait until, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's going to be crazy. It's actually like Ancient Aliens. It really is. It's Ancient Aliens, but for evotards.
Cousins were so similar to us modern humans, but some were true evolutionary oddballs.
Patrick Ewing? Who's that? What are you saying? George Floyd? You calling George Floyd an oddball?
So let's play a game. Which of these species are...
Put some socks on, lady. I'm literally going to throw up in my mouth.
...the most surprising? We'll keep score along the way, and in the end...
Oh, I hate her ankle so much. My vanity is kicking in. Look at that ankle.
And we will crown a champion. We're going to cover the gamut. From the birth of paleoanthropology almost 200 years ago, when a discovery was made that was so baffling that it took decades to understand its full implications, up to the present day, which many of us would argue is the golden age of the study of paleoanthropology. The discoveries that are being made today are often baffling and always lead to debate, including about one ancient human species whose behavior is so strange, it's still divided.
What do you mean behavior? What are you talking about? What? Basketball? This girl's racist, man. What? Crime? What are we talking about here, lady? You're being very cryptic here. I just want to know what you're talking about. You're being very cryptic about all this.
Dividing scientists today.
Well, I think the fact that it's there at all, the fact that Floresiensis is on this small island, isolated, suggests that there could be many more examples of species like this to be discovered in island Southeast Asia.
How do humans ancient humans get to an island? You know what I mean? Like, we're talking, on their timelines, we're talking millions of years, right? Their charts are so funny. It's like 500 million thousand years old. Oh, this isn't from it. This is from 6 million thousand years old. This is a different thing. You're like, oh, there's on an island. What? Where? How? What do you mean? How did it get on an island? Oh, well, haven't you heard of Pangea? It's like everything's separated completely, and the island floated out, and the humans were on it. Like, oh no, we're on a land boat. I want to go back.
So this experiment in human evolution that happened on Flores could have happened on many of the other islands as well. So there could be many more exciting discoveries to come.
While some of these species may have vanished without a trace, some have legacies that are alive and well.
Oh, right. I forgot. I totally forgot about this. Gosh, now it totally makes sense. They were fish. They swam. I'm such an idiot.
As you're about to see, the Homo genus is anything but homogeneous, and the saga of our ancestors is anything but ancient history. The brains. What separates humans from all other creatures, large and small, that helped us spread to every corner of the world? Now, many would say it's down to our large and complex brains. Homo sapiens, Latin for wise man. I love that we gave ourselves that particular name. But then again, we had mastered fire, we could make stone tools, we built the pyramids.
Why do British people talk from like they're here? Why is that? Especially women. You know, like Minnie Driver, like when they're in school and they usually talk, the teacher was like, no, further down.
We gave you some the name.
How special are we? For millennia, we have...
Can't even do it. It's like this, like... It's like here. It's like right here. Here's the voice right here.
Reign supreme as the last human species standing, and also it was long assumed the only one. All that changed though in 1829.
Yeah,
even
really.
if no one realized it at the time. That year, amateur scientists entered a cave in Belgium.
Amateurs?
And stumbled upon an unusual skull. Now, the explorers' identities are unknown. The significance of
That's an egg, dude. That's a T-Rex egg.
their find would utterly lost on them as well.
Unbelievable. People.
They assumed it belonged to some long dead person who'd suffered from maybe disease or deformity.
Or maybe swollencankles.com.
Now, some historical context.
Look, lady, don't blame me. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. I've never seen an ankle that's a muffin top. Lady, just deal with it. Just stop. Just take a break from work or something. Like, go get in somewhere. Have a foot person look at you. Deal with it. Sheesh.
Context. Darwin had not yet published on the origin of the species. That would not happen for another 30 years. The word dinosaur wasn't coined for another decade. And
isn't that interesting? Dinosaurs exist, but it was only in the 19th century. It's like, now keep in mind, there are ancient civilizations that noted things like dragons and stuff. This is why it's such a fun, contentious topic. But like the recent discovery of something that would otherwise be seen by many other civilizations according to their system, giant animals, giant bones discovered. They're like, nope. We're going to wait until Owens. What's his name? Something Owens. Mark Owens. Something Owens. Candy Owens. Opinion on Protestant Americans saying Trump is a Cyrus anointing sounds ridiculous. I don't listen to Protestants about anything. Thank you so much for that super chat. This whole like Trump angel godly thing is insane. Totally insane.
And the idea of evolution, or for that matter, extinction, was heretical to the widespread Western worldview, which long held creation as it is described in the Old Testament. But then, 27 years later, quarry workers uncovered more bones in the Neander Valley in Germany. And this time, the world took notice. Long before Homo sapiens, a species arose that was in many ways our equal, and in others, even more than that. Chris
You see how they say arose? You know what I'm saying? Arose isn't a biological term. Emergent, that's not a biological term. Emerged, arose. That was a horse egg? That was a horse egg. Could it be that Evo is trying to help us by taking away their voices, so maybe 1 in a million years, have peace and quiet? Could be.
Springer is a leading British paleoanthropologist at London's Natural History Museum. He has spent decades unravelling the story of our species and others.
So Neanderthals, of course, are really the best known ancient humans. We've got a lot of material from sites in...
The foot guy? I'm the anti-foot guy. I think I got that from Meg Bob. Like, if she sees a bad foot, it's like, I need to know about it immediately, and then I'm like, yeah, you're right. But now I'm aware of it. I don't think it's a good thing for me. But we both have it now. We both look at, we're like, oh. Like, if we're somewhere where a foot can be seen, one of us will elbow the other. That kind of inside joke we have. Or we're like, look at that. Look at that. Thumbs up. Someone's going hitchhiking with their foot, huh? Hey, look. What are they pointing at with their foot?
In Europe and Asia, nearly complete skeletons and a lot of behavioural information.
Hey, look at that foot. Maybe evolution is true.
And what's interesting about them, of course, is they are very evolved humans.
Homo neanderthalensis came into its own around 500,000 years ago.
See what I'm saying? How is that a biological term? How is that a term? How is that not magical thinking? Came into its own. That's like something you say about a girl who grows up and she finally makes her way into womanhood and she's like responsible and, you know what I mean? You really came into your own. It came in, she's like, oh, it's a figure of speech. Yeah, but the thing is, we're not asking for figures of speech here, lady. You're supposed to be teaching, right? It came into her own. Just sort of emerged into their being. One day she's an adult. So beautiful. Time to move on. It's sad. She's moving out next week. She was just a little baby, just like yesterday. I remember all the birthday parties. She's on her way to getting huge ankles. Never seen you draw feet? I never draw feet. Never. I honestly can't even take this. It's thinly concealed. That's what it really is. It's rampant, dude. It is rampant. These people are sick. Anyway, anything else? I do gotta give myself a little bit of time. It's 2:00. Give myself some rest. Review some Evo stuff. No idea how it's gonna go tonight. You know, I'm debating someone who's gonna be technically superior to me insofar as language of biology. But I'm looking at my angles of attack. And it's all the common ones. So, we'll see. I don't think so, no. I think eventually, like, depending on the priest and the, you know, where you are, the approach might be more aggressive or more subtle over time. But no, you'd be living a lie. You'd be living in a perversion. So, if there was a priest who was like partial to it, then you're in a double trouble. So no. Because there's no such thing as a trans girl. So you're living in a lie. if that was the case. Speaking of Orthodox, I am working on a fun sticker pack. Now, most of my sticker packs have always been sort of like making fun of atheists or these people or that people. I'm going to do more uplifting one that's fun and beautiful. So it's going to be stylized. It's going to be cool. Maybe 7 different designs. And so I'll keep you guys updated. We're going to do a sample run first, maybe 50 or 20 or something like that. Maybe 20 packs. And because we want to see how they are first. But it's pretty excited. I have a lot of cool designs that are ortho-centric, but cooler, a little more cool. So I'm excited for that, to show you guys that. Cringecore mumble rap dropped this morning? Really? Well, on whose? On Cringecore? Cringecore Records? Okay. Good to have an out. All right. Okay. Mumbly rap.
And all I'm going to do is pick a corporate product. What's the worst corporate brand that you could think of? And I'm just gonna repeat.
What is it? The corporate brand. The worst corporate brand is Matzo Box or Artsa Box. Artsa Box? What does David Wood sell? Shamelessly. Artsa Box?
Brand names, right? Long John Silver got that Long John Silver got that Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway JCPenney College Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway Long John Silver got that Long John Silver got that Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway JCPenney College Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway Long John Silver.
It's a weird time to acknowledge this, but yeah, I'm sorry you lost your dog. Losing pets is rough. I only experienced losing a pet directly once, and everyone knows the story. Opie, the cat.
Got that Long John Silver, got that Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway JCPenney College Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway Long John Silver, got that Long John Silver, got that Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway JCPenney College Long John Quiznos Pringles Subway. All you do is you repeat stupid corporate. Here we go. Carbo Crew,
Skittles,
Planet Fitness, McDonald's.
I want that coat.
Cringecore, humble rap.
I would definitely wear that coat. Look at that. See, that's the kind of that pink or orange or gold. That's exactly what I was looking for Ortho Thugs. I wanted an Ortho Thugs coat like that. Metallic with a big black Ortho head logo on the back. Can't find it anywhere.
I got that blockbuster. I got that Palantir. I got that Wells Fargo. Tylenol. I got Nabisco. I got that TJ Maxx. I got Balenciaga. This is fun. I'm like a rapper now. I'm a rapper now. Dang, I just realized it.
How is this different than any other J video?
You bet it's cringe. It's called Cringecore, dummy. Dude thinks he's on the cutting edge, the cusp of cutting edge, calling me cringe.
Kang cringe. King cringe. Kang cringe. Cringe Kang. Cring Kang.
Got the CA, got the TJ Maxx, got that Zap, got that Dap, got that Gap, got that Kraft, got that Long John Silver, got that Disney Plus, got that Taco Supreme, got that Nabisco, got that Tylenol, got that Campbell Soup, I got that Disney Plus, I got that Quiznos, I got that Waffle House, I got that Wells Fargo. Oh man, you could have a lot of fun with that.
Nice. Nicely done. You can go follow Cringecore Records. Search Cringecore Records. Was that the one with blackface? Or I didn't see it in there, but I'm he's pretty much ready for blackface. So can cringing. All right, I think I've done my job today, half a job. The rest of my job will be done tonight at 7 p.m. I will be streaming it right here on my channel. You guys can watch it, support me, and it'll be a fun time. Okay? Be a good old fun time. Oh, look, I got something I was in got 1 million views. What is this? What is it? Never mind. Cringe crap. Cringe. All right. Let's get a couple last. We got 20 minutes left of this goal. Let's see if we can get a couple more up there for my goal today. Was it today? No, it's on Nevermind, which is like, I guess, the whatever's other thing. It's a clip of me talking to that lady with like all sorts of crap in her face. I don't know. I mean, I was glad I went on there, but it's just not something out of place for me there. I think something off there. Thank you so much. Debate today at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time right here. I might set a pre-thing. I have this problem on OBS where if I set a pre-scheduled stream and I try to stream it, OBS shuts down like a bunch of times. It seems to work on the third time. It's just annoying. So I might do that. Or I might just start it on the fly. So I guess you'll see. You got a job? Congratulations. Congrats. You were good on whatever? Well, it was fun. I was like a nicer guy on that show, I think. This is a good change, and you take a softer approach. I really wanted to bring like humor to that show. Like I wanted to bring segments. I was always to the extent I engaged and talked to Brian, I wanted to really bring segments to the show. Like tweets from the streets. Like that's a great idea. Funny. Bring up a clip of an on the street interview and people react, or there's endless things. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not flying, though. I love being home with my family, so fuck that. Prayers for Josiah. He's on a flight to meet me for Saturday's very important event. God bless. Glory to God, Snagglebeast. Make sure you get some pictures. If you don't end up posting them online, definitely send them to me just personally. I always like seeing that. It's my favorite thing ever. Aside from people saying that they were baptized, the pictures, like just knowing the experience, seeing people baptized. I love it. Ba-da-bum. Who are we going to? I'll send you to... Maybe I'll send you... somewhere. Where do I send these people? Where do I send all you people? I will decide. I will decide. Yeah. I didn't get... Where did all the tards today? Where were all the tards? Huh? I'm at 29,244 people. That's good. It's a slow burn. Reach 30,000. Man, it feels like forever. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's great, but it's been a while. It's been a real climb. You know, comparison, it really is true. You know, what do they say? What's the stupid platitude? That's kind of true. Comparison is the source of pain or whatever. Jordan says, prayers for everyone this weekend. With the storm, JB, are you still taking song cover requests? Yeah, I'm a little bit behind. I'm actually just been learning Shaky Graves, the July song. It's in drop D. But yes, you can send me an email or buy one on Bob Chats and let me know. I think I got like 3 left to do or something like that. Raid Myth Vision, that's fun. That's actually a funny idea. That's actually not a bad idea. I doubt he takes raids though, but that's actually funny. Let me see. Okay, we got Digital Gnosis. So gay. What is his name? Myth. Myth. Is he even live? Is it Myth Vision? Myth Vision. No, he doesn't take it. Doesn't take requests or transfers. Who is it? Big John Steele? How about Big John Steele? Oh, he must be done. Huh. I don't know, man. Nathan? That guy sucks. Andrea Zertis? He's a cool dude, but he defends Mormonism. Ruslan? You guys, let's raid Ruslan. Bryce Crawford confronts some dude. Let's raid Ruslan. And in the chat, make sure you guys call him out for insulting my friend Tony's music. Okay? Hey, I heard what you say about my boy Tony's music. You said it sounded like Urban Outfitters or whatever. Right? Be nice, but be clear. Okay? Yeah, he did. He dissed Tony's music. And that takes something. If you're Ruslan and you're dissing other people's music, I mean, have you seen that guy's music videos? Trash. He's called it H&M music. That's right. No, you'd be nice about it, but be funny. Be funny about it. I don't think he'll ban you. Just make it known. You know what I mean? Because it makes Tony a bit more known. Specify. Hey, I heard... Everyone say, hey, I heard what you said about Hello Listener's music. Just say that. Hey, I heard what you said. I heard that. Just say that. So it makes him like, oh, man, I'm sorry, dog. Oh, dog, man, no offense, dog. It's all good, son. He'll be like that. That's all right, son. No harm, son. Actually, we have 11 minutes. I'm going to wait. Let's get the last 3 fivers in, you guys. And I'll send you over to where you belong. Yeah. Ha ha. Ha ha. You hard? Don't you dare talk about my friend that way. H&M. Well, that's out of tune. How dare you disrespect my friend? Yeah, 3 more fivers. Let's go. Let's go. Ante up, you fucking bricks. I'm gonna execute the last one of ya. There you go. There's one. Thank you. Pay your taxes. Whatever. You guys bought what? You bought a coffee. You bought a $5 Starbucks coffee from H&M. Okay? Feed the good guys. Feed the good guys. Hell no, I don't play out-of-tune gitters. Well, this is an old one. I think I made a mistake. I have a weakness about old things. You guys can't see it. This is a tenor guitar, but it caught my eye because it was like affordable, but it was like from the 1920s. Like this is from like 1910 or something. And I was like, yeah, duh. And then I was like, that's actually kind of stupid. Because then I was looking at newer ones that are kind of like, some of them are better made, newer ones. I was like, maybe I should have got a new one. But it's charming and old and it breaks. Oh, I have a really nice old car. It literally stalls at every red light and people beep at me, but it's cool. Oh, look at this old pipe. Does it work? Nope. I use broken things that don't work because they're old and cool. Look at the patina. Thank you all. Make sure you're hungry. Yeah, I gotta make sure I'm fed. I'm gonna be hungry and starving. I'm out.